Welcome to Old Man Orange Podcast number 139. On this one, we've kind of combined two short podcasts together in one. First part, we're talking about Sin City and a bunch of more comic books and Frank Miller stuff. And then there's sort of a second one that we recorded that had kind of some technical difficulties, so we cut it short, so we just kind of slapped these two together. So once we exit out of one, just wait a couple seconds and the next one will start on up. But, yeah. Hello and welcome to the Old Man Orange Podcast. I'm Spencer Scott Holmes.
I'm Ryan Dunigan. And is this part two, or is this like its own separate one of the last one? Because the last one was kind of short.
I think I'll just make this the start and then plug in the other stuff at the end.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Something like that.
Anyway.
I don't know. Somehow, some way, they'll all get tied together.
Yeah.
But
I'm all out of creative today. I don't know. It's just one of those days I had to drag this. I just got a wooden table for my. I finally got a. Well, actually, I shouldn't say I. I said you actually Dropboxed me the new Manga Studio. So, for actually me to have more of a use for it, I have this touchscreen I got not so long ago. So I figured I'd plug this thing in. But I need a bigger desk for it, so I'm like, oh, well, there's this place down the street, and it's down the street and all, but it's also kind of like, my mindset was like, I don't want to take a bus and like have to build something when I get home from Target or whatever. So I just carried this giant wooden table like almost half a mile down the road, and yeah, I got my workout for the day. But once you get done with it, like yeah, I conquered that.
I just manhandled that. That's like the one time I
Pretty
was in San Francisco, and me and Cisco, we walk about right past this like clothes store that was going out of business, and we stop and go, did that sign just say free mannequins? And we rush on back. We run back in there. We're like, dude, I don't know what you're gonna do with a mannequin, but there's so many possibilities. I don't know, where do you get a mannequin at? You can't just fucking buy one at the store. And we go in there and they have the one mannequin left, and we're like, fucking give it to us. And we have it.
I can't believe that.
And we're literally like carrying it like. Just like Cisco's got one part under his arm, I got like the back legs and whatnot. We're walking up the street through like Union Square. And at some point we walk, and there's probably a bunch of tourists there, and fucking like the arm just falls off on the ground. And I remember we carried it all the way up into our apartment and whatnot. And all day long, it was like, I don't know how the news got out, but people knew we fucking had a mannequin. Like this one guy, we were eating like a pizza place, and he comes up next to us, he's like, I fucking heard you, or he didn't say fucking, he's like, I heard you guys have a mannequin. I love mannequins. And he looked like some fucking straight-laced, like, preppy kid. It was, like, so weird. He's like, he had this inner obsession with mannequins.
And you didn't even know who he was?
I seen him around. He wasn't just, like, some random guy off the street, but it wasn't somebody we really knew at the same time, too.
It was just, like, some full-grown, like, man in his 30s just walked up to you. Like, what can I do? Can I have $15? I'll give you $15 to be alone with it. Can I do that?
$15 for 15 minutes. That's all I'm asking. All we knew to do it. We're like, dude, we'll fucking.
I need this. Yeah.
We'll just dress this mannequin up and put him in a sitcom.
Yeah, that's what you did. You guys used him in the Avalon. That was George, right?
Yeah. We also used him in Drunk Batman too. He played Alfred, the dead body of Alfred.
He played dead Alfred. Yeah, that's right.
Well, I remember at first we had him, we're like, oh, this is great, dude. We'll put his arm up so it looks like he's waving and everything. Oh, it look all friendly and stuff. And then the second you turn out the lights, it just looks like it's his arm up. Almost looks like it's got a knife in its hand. All that friendliness just went right out the window.
I'm starting to realize, after listening to your story about you getting George the mannequin and me getting this table, my life is really becoming a series of like, this would have been interesting only if I did this one other thing. Oh, it would be interesting if I did this over here instead of that.
What do you like, the fucking Walter Mitty of like San Francisco now?
Almost, I guess. No, because what happened was when I actually bought the thing, there's this really pretty Asian girl behind the counter who actually offered like, oh, it was a small independent place. This wasn't like a chain or nothing. She says, oh, I can help you carry it to wherever you're taking it to. I was like, nah, I don't want to bother, And then on top of that part of me was like, oh, I don't want to bother this girl, she's probably busy with this over here. But then on top of that, the other part of my brain was like, I probably have to give her a tip, and I don't want to do that. You know? So I could have, you know, it's roughly a 10-minute walk carrying this thing. Could have made a very nice conversation. Could have walked away with a new friend, possibly a phone number, who knows? But I'm just like, nah, I might have to pay a tip. All right, you have a good day. You know, so then.
Well, at first I thought you were gonna say, like, you know, it's like, well, the other part of my brain was going, well, I just spent $250 on it. She better fucking carry it. I don't even need to help her.
I ain't that guy, no, man. I ain't that guy. Like, I just like tie it to her back. You go. Just me.
It was
like,
$50. I'd carry it myself, but for $250, you're gonna carry it.
I'm just like behind her yelling, "Don't fuck it up! Don't drop it! Don't drop it!" You know? No, that didn't happen. See, like it's all these what ifs of what I could have done to tell an interesting story.
Yeah, those things happen. But we went and saw fucking Sin City today, and it came out, and all that excitement of that movie that I didn't think was actually going to come out ever. Because they talked about Sin City 2 and 3. I remember just looking on IMDb, and every time I went on there, the movie was always pushed back another year. And then it got to the point I'm like, well, fuck it, they're not going to make it. If anybody's going to make Sin City, it's definitely not going to be fucking Robert Rodriguez and Frank Miller. By the time they make Sin City 2 and 3, they'll both be dead.
What I assumed it would be, because I never saw this movie, but when I actually when I saw the trailer for 302 or Rise of the Empire, whatever the fuck you want to call it, I didn't really get that real sense of like, oh, it's 302. I got the sense of it's a cover song. I don't know. It just didn't feel like that way to me, and that's what I assumed Sin City would be. I mean, the fact that Frank Miller's involved has nothing to do with it, but I think Rise of the Empire was even written by Frank Miller, but still, it just felt kind of like a quick cash-in. You know what I mean? At least it felt that way to me. I never saw the movie.
I still haven't seen it yet. I would like to see it just to see it. People told me it was. They said all good things about it. Nobody said anything bad. They said it's more of the same, and that's never necessarily a bad thing. That, you know, it's not groundbreaking like the first one, but.
I heard it was okay. That's all I heard. I heard it was just okay, but who knows? I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing it eventually. But seeing this movie, it actually, I mean, this one is kind of like more the same, and I wish it came out sooner because I think I would have liked it a lot more, like 2 years after Sin City 1 or so. But I still liked it. It was still a good movie.
Well, that was the thing I said right when I came out of the theater. I'm like, I think this movie would have worked really good if it came out when it was supposed to. I don't know what it is, and it might kind of affect this movie too, because I don't know if there's enough people out there that give a fuck about Sin City unless you're already a fan of Sin City or Robert Rodriguez or just Frank Miller. Because
this is also,
there wasn't very many people at the theater to see it. There was literally 3 of the most stereotypical nerd people out there that like give, you know, just like, look, there's a Sin City there. Let's go see it now, fellas. And they actually did have a woman with them, but the woman looked probably more manly than the other 2 guys.
That happens.
You know? So, like, that wasn't really helping the cause of Sin City. So, when I saw it, there wasn't a single adult. There wasn't a single, somebody like, you know, looked a little bit classy. Somebody that looked something like that. I mean, it looked like the only people there were, like, people that got, like, left at Comic-Con and they're waiting for their parents to come by and pick them up. They were 27. You know, it's like, sadly enough, it had, like, that 1970s stereotype right there.
Yeah, well, the thing about it was when Sin City 1 first came out, I remember walking out of it, and you may sound, I may have said this on the podcast before. I know I told you this personally, but I feel like a dumbass for saying this. When I first walked out of Sin City 1, I didn't like it because I was like, what the fuck did I just watch? Because that movie was really groundbreaking, and it was something different we've never seen before. And on top of that, when I walked out of it, I just didn't know what to think because it was really just so weird and so out there. And somebody just told me, I don't know what the fuck they thought they saw, but someone says, oh yeah, basically it's just it's a group of it's like supervillains team up with cops, and then to bring down some bad guy, and then once they're done, the cops turn on them, so they all have to work together. And that's not at all what that movie's about.
No, that just sounds like somebody in high school trying to explain something to you that has really no idea what he's talking about.
That guy clearly didn't see the movie. So when I went to go see it, I was expecting that, but then saw there was this really intertwining story and all this stuff. Plus I don't know, I just wasn't in the right state of mind. But then after about like a week after I saw it, it stuck with me, and I thought about, that was a really good movie. I don't know what I was thinking or talking about. And so when I think back on Sin City 1, it is a good movie. I probably don't like it as much now as I did when I saw it, but it's still a good movie. And this one, it kind of, it wasn't bad. It was just a little underwhelming. And it was just kind of like, oh, I've seen this before. And on top of that, it also felt kind of like I was actually kind of trying to replace, like, wait, that guy died. So when does this one take place? When does that, you know what I mean? I was trying to remember who was who and all that.
Well, that's the first thing I was doing too. At first, I was trying to make heads or tails when this was supposed to take place at, and then I kind of got, I was like, oh, okay, so it is a sequel
and a prequel.
Yeah, there's like a kind of a prequel story too in it, and I did actually like it quite a bit. I'm not like I did enjoy it.
So did I.
But it was one of those ones like it wasn't that groundbreaking that Sin City 1 was, because really Sin City story wise nothing fucking new. It's kind of like, I guess you could say it's sort of like Pulp Fiction. It's all those stories have been told before, but they haven't been told in that way. And I mean, I guess Sin City, it's like, in the 80s when Frank Miller wrote the comics, he was really just kind of bringing back that noir thing, because that was been pretty much a dead genre. And really, other than every once in a while when somebody decides to bring back a noir movie, it's something you really don't see at all. It's kind of almost a lost genre that people look upon fondly, but you just don't really see it in everyday culture. Plus, there's that thing that movie snobs always say that narration is the worst way to tell a story.
Yeah.
Which I've never in my entire life, I think about that a lot, and I go, I don't understand that. They always go seeing is better than telling. I'm like, fuck, why don't you do both? I like the narration. It's like one of those ones. It's like that's how that to me. I always think of narration more than anything else. I'm like, that's fucking comic books.
I think a narration should say something we don't know. So, it's more of I think when the narration is giving us information that we can't see, or it's giving us more in-depth thing of what's going on in their head. And because really, if you just take away the narration of those movies, they would seem a lot more slower and a lot more duller, I think. And I think
Frank Miller, probably have no idea what the fuck is going on, because 90% of the dialogue in that is all narration.
Have you seen any of the videos the Wonder Years without narration? Have you seen any of those?
No, I never have.
There was one. It was just just a series of shots from the Wonder Years without the narration, and it'll be something small like, David, would you like some ketchup on your hot dog? And just it shows a picture of him just blank in thought, looking around, not saying nothing. David, would you want some ketchup on your hot dog? And it cuts back to him. He has just this dumbfounded look on his face. So sometimes the narration helps.
Well, I noticed that anybody who didn't like Sin City, because there was when Sin City came out, I remember it was either people really loved it or they just didn't like it very much. And all the people that didn't like it, they're like, I don't know, why is there all that narration in it? That was always the biggest complaint. It's I don't think that's necessary.
I just wasn't, for me, when I didn't like it, it wasn't because it was old noir. It was just it was very radical.
It just wasn't that superhero villains with cops movie that you thought you were going to see.
And then there's also just some it was also at that time I didn't see very many. I saw some R-rated movies in theaters, but I didn't see any movies that heavy or that dark at the time. I really didn't probably start watching more heavier, darker things probably till late high school, early college. So seeing something there's a guy who kidnaps hookers, eats them alive, and then mounts their heads on a wall, that was what the fuck, And
now it's just whatever, hookers, heads, eating.
Exactly.
Seen that, done that, been there.
Then watching this one, wow, this one's way more light, toned down compared to the other movie. But the thing about this, what I heard is, now I never read any of the only Sin City book I read is The Hard Goodbye, which came with the special edition.
That's the only one I ever read too. I feel kind of bad. It's something I've always wanted to read, but once again, the comic book world's kind of I'll get to that some other time. Well, there's this new Batman book that came out. I'll get that one next, and then you just never end up getting it.
I had the total Harry Potter thing, are they going to make movies of all these? So, but then only one of these stories is actually, from what I've heard, based on a book. The story itself, Dame to Kill For, which is the one I guess you'd say that's the main story. Mm-hmm. The one about the Josh Brolin character who used to be the Clive Owen character. That right there, that was based on a book. And then I believe the one with Nancy and the one with Joseph Gordon-Levitt, I want to say those two are things Frank Miller wrote just for this movie.
Well, that's pretty cool if that's the case then, because since you got the writer, that's totally fine. I'll say this, if it was Sin City 2 and somebody else just decided to like pull stories out of their butt to throw into it, and it like wasn't Frank Miller or wasn't Robert Rodriguez, you'd be kind of like, oh, what the fuck? Dude, there's so many books, and you decide to make your own story. But I think since it's Frank Miller, that's totally fine if that's the case.
Yeah, and plus, I'll say this though, even though I did like the Joseph Gordon-Levitt one, the ending was kind of like, oh, really? Just like that? I mean, I understand the point he's trying to make, but at the end, when he just gets shot in the head, it was just like, really? Just like that? And I gotta say this, I mean, that villain, Rourke, Senator Rourke, Frank Miller, he's a great writer, but that's a really stupid, shitty villain. And I mean, I understand we're not supposed to like him, but I mean, blatantly, he's just a dumb fucking villain. The reason, of all the people you're going to try to make a president out of, you're going to choose your yellow, hideous, pedophile son who was in and out of insane asylums. You're like, look at this good-looking kid with a firm head on his shoulders who can beat me at poker, and he's actually pretty quick-witted. Fuck him. You know? It's just like, really, of all the people, of all the sons you're going to abandon, that's the one you're going to abandon. I mean, I don't know. I was just like, that took me out of the movie for a second.
Well,
couldn't help.
When he said that, like, because, you know, it's Sin City, so we all know that stories go back and forth. I was going like, well, maybe that was before he was yellow. That was what I was thinking. I was like, maybe that's when he was trying to make him president, was before he became yellow, because that technically wasn't that long ago. Because, well, no, it wasn't, because didn't Bruce Willis
they
make him yellow when Nancy was still like 10 or something, right?
Yeah, and then like
okay, so never mind. That was like probably 10 years ago.
Yeah. And that was just like. Then there's also the part where I mean, I forgot how good Bruce Willis looks with hair. I forgot about that.
Nowadays, just like all shaved off.
He's
like,
always
whatever. Bald. Fuck it.
I don't blame him. But yeah, but no, he actually the hair. It's like, oh look, '90s Bruce Willis. Haven't seen that in a while. You know?
Die Hard 2 Bruce Willis.
Yeah, exactly. Though I'm not even sure. It wouldn't surprise me in the least bit. I don't know. But it wouldn't surprise me in the least bit if Marv wasn't in the book in the second one. I just think they're trying to get Marv in there any way they can, which I understand why, because that is easily one of Frank Miller's best characters.
Well, I will say that was one of the things I liked the most about this one, is that Marv was in every story. Even if he was only like a little bit character in a couple of them, he was there the whole movie.
I mean, maybe he was, because he did actually end up playing a big part for a minute in the second in A Dame to Kill For. So maybe he was in the actual book. I never read it, but I could just see them plugging him in there because that's the character everybody likes. That's the character everybody wants to see. And just the things like how he's kind of like how he's sick, twisted, and maniacal, but in some ways he kind of has a heart of gold.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
just something you gotta love about that character.
You know, and
just how he beat the shit and killed all those guys, stole the cars. I know you wanted to take the Mustang and all that, but I saw one of these beauties, keys sitting there in ignition. You know, he just like rams the cop off the road. Anyways, I was saying, you know, like it's no big deal.
Well, I thought the opening was really good, where it's just like there's a bunch of douchey college kids fucking like torturing hobos, which is a real thing. You know, I heard that people in Chico have done that before, where they've gone out and burned hobos in the street.
Yeah, I can see Frank Miller adding that. They just gave like Marv his own quick little story at the beginning. Had nothing to do with the rest of the movie.
No, it had nothing to do, but it was just badass. It was just like he just really made sure that these fucking kids died because they were evil. And I was like, badass. Fuck college kids.
He's all like, he has that line like, what was it? He says like, you call me like Brondo. What was that? Like, oh, it's the name of your jacket. Like, oh yeah, thanks, kid. And slits his throat.
Glad we got that over with.
Yeah. Oh, thanks for that. You know. No. I was actually glad, even though he was only really a side character in all the stories, I was glad he was in there, which I guess the whole thing with Nancy and I guess technically the hard goodbye from the first movie, I guess that's technically, at least out of these two, that's probably the last story, if I had to guess, because Nancy, I mean, she's not all fucked up, but Marv is still alive. So I guess that eventually she got those scars healed and she was totally fine with going back to stripping. Who knows?
It's either that, or I was just thinking that like Marv just somehow, some way survives, because you know, like that's kind of like how in that first Sin City movie, like there's points where it's like, oh, he's fucking dead, and it's like, oh no, he's not. So I could have just saw that like we ended, and it's like, oh, he's dead, and then somehow, some way he comes back.
I hope he is alive. I hope like maybe there is a book out there where he just like breaks out, like he's in the morgue, and then all of a sudden he just busts his way out of there. You know, it's like, I gotta go get my pills. I got a condition.
Yeah, like I could totally see that. You know, because he's like clearly he survives all these bullets. He could survive being electrocuted.
Yeah, yeah. Even if he did die though, that's like one of the best ways you can go. It's like, is that all you got, you pussies? So, yeah, Marv is definitely probably one of my favorite Frank Miller characters.
Dude, what do you think about that little cameo that they had with Robert Rodriguez and Frank Miller in the movie?
I didn't even see that
Well,
actually.
right at the
I
very
didn't.
beginning
There
of the
was a.
movie, when I saw the Frank Miller cameo, he had one cameo actually right at the beginning with he was sitting next to Mickey Rourke at the bar, and you can always
Oh, that
we
was
can always
him.
tell because he looks like the same way he looks in all his photos. He's got the little hat on, he's got the beard, and then he
Uh-huh.
was only on that part for a bit, but then way later on at the very end of the movie, when Jessica Alba's sitting there watching TV, and there's like those two hobos. I don't know if they're supposed to be like hobo sitcom or something like that. If you look at
Uh-huh.
both those guys, it's Robert Rodriguez and Frank Miller talking to each other,
I didn't even notice that. I didn't really pay
and
attention.
like
Huh.
the hobo sitcom or whatnot.
I'd watch that show. Frank Miller and Robert Rodriguez and the Hobo Show.
I'm kind of glad because every once in a while Robert Rodriguez will have like these cameos, but like you really have to look for them. Like they don't stand out that well. Felt like this one at least it stood out a little bit more than the usual.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
I wish more directors were like Quentin Tarantino and just had full on scenes, even though Tarantino hasn't been in one of his films forever either. But
He would have he'll have cameos. Last scene he had a full wasn't the star of it, but he was in Django Unchained. He was the Australian
oh yeah,
bounty
I
hunter.
forgot he did have that cameo in that one. I'd like to see him like I like when he's just like one of the main characters in the movie, and I think some people out there just don't like his. I don't know. I think they just think he looks weird, and they're gonna blame that on his acting. But I think that's
A lot of people don't like him in like starring, and I mean I like him as like as a side character. I liked him a lot in From Dusk Till
yeah. That's what I was
Dawn,
about to say.
but
It's like
I think
that right there is like so cool. I mean, pretty much you just say, hey, I got this movie. It's about vampires, and George Clooney and Quentin Tarantino are brothers. Right.
yeah, I love that movie. I can't. A lot of people have problems with it because I know some people say I love that movie until they get to the bar. But I all around love that movie the whole way. That's one of my favorite horror films right there.
Well, I like that whole movie. I will say that like the probably the beginning part I like more than the end. I think
Hmm.
that first section of the movie is just amazing, and it's got such a fantastic intro.
Yeah.
But then as it kind of progresses into it, I can still enjoy it. Don't get me wrong, but I just think that like it almost starts off so big that it's almost like it kind of slopes down. Not in a bad way, but just you can only keep that high
Hmm.
for so long.
Well, I would almost kind of like I would like to almost. I mean, they're too old for it now, and I guess they have the From Dusk Till Dawn TV show, which I have not seen
Is that
yet.
a new thing?
But yeah, it's on Robert Rodriguez's El Rey
Oh
network.
well, that seems difficult to watch. You have to like go online or subscribe to it or something like that.
Well, no, it's on its own channel. He has his own channel,
Is it on
but
regular TV?
yeah, it's on like satellite.
Oh, I've
So
just never heard of it.
I'm
I'll have to go look at that.
some days he'll have like he'll do like oh we're doing a grindhouse like marathon or whatever. Here's a bunch of but it's TV, so I'm guessing it's edited. But I bet you probably could watch it on his website. I haven't seen it
Well, I'm guessing
yet
it
though.
like
Um,
I don't think it's on like the regular channels. It must be on like kind of like a special premium channel or something like that.
I think it's something like Spike or something like that.
Okay, because I was thinking it was almost more like not yeah, like in that
HBO.
kind of category.
It might be. I mean, what I saw, there was still like some censored stuff from what I remember. Yeah, I don't. But I mean, it seems kind of weird having a Robert Rodriguez channel that would be censored. But who knows?
Because
But
when I
anyway,
first heard
I
about that, I
would
actually
like to
thought it
almost
was
see.
I literally just thought it was an internet only thing. I thought it was just like, oh, this is just stuff he plays on his website.
I would like to actually see a From Dusk Till Dawn like show about the Gecko brothers before like a prequel show when they were young before they actually went up into that strip club. I think that by itself would be pretty interesting. Just like their adventures and shit they get
Well, that'd
into.
be cool just to see one too. It's like it doesn't have to be the same actors. You could young Indiana Jones it.
And they did do that. They were younger. I don't know if it's like a reboot or if it's a prequel, but
Oh,
yeah.
is that what the show is?
Well, I know I just saw something with the two of them. I just saw very little. It's just the two of them in a muscle car firing guns. You saw a vampire chick at some point. That's all I saw in the trailer.
Huh.
So I have no. And they said they're the Gecko brothers at some point. So I have no idea if it's a reboot, if they're just expanding on the movie, like the Fargo TV show, which I have not seen yet either, or if it's like or if it's like a prequel.
Huh.
So
Interesting.
I'm guessing it would probably be a reboot, because if it was a prequel, it would be kind of like, oh, we've dealt with vampires before, where the movie it's just kind of like, oh yeah, the movie is just kind of like, what the fuck is going on? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So,
maybe that's what it is, huh? Still like to check it out.
yeah, I would too.
But you know, what was another really cool scene in Sin City though too was the Christopher Lloyd thing.
Oh, I forgot about that. Christopher Lloyd is like, he was is a heroin addict doctor who would like, depending on what you'd pay him, like, all right, well, you got $40, I'll give you $40 worth of surgery, and just do a very shitty job. Like, that's $40 worth. He's just like, do you have any else? You don't have any money? Take your shoes. You know, this is probably what those shoes are worth.
Well, he's probably one of those kind of guys. If you gave him $500, you probably would actually get pretty good service.
Yeah, I thought that was actually, I liked this character. I liked Christopher Lloyd.
Well, there's just like, in just like Sin City 1, there's a lot of kind of like neat, I guess you call them cameos more than anything else. Like Ray Liotta is like kind of like the rich businessman who has an affair and whatnot. He's like kind of a douche. You know, and
poor Ray Liotta doesn't, he only gets like, he was Henry in Goodfellas. He was Henry in Goodfellas, one of the greatest mobster movies ever made, and now he's just playing just kind of like these like pushovers and like guys who just get like fucked by the end of the movie, like killing them softly.
oh yeah, that's right.
It was so hard watching Ray Liotta get the shit kicked out of him, watching him cry and beg. That was, I mean, I wasn't like, Ray Liotta, this pussy. I felt bad for him. It's just so hard watching a full-grown man cry and get the shit kicked out of him.
Exactly, and he did a good job in that scene too, just to like really bring it.
And then as soon as he's getting out of the hospital, they have like Brad Pitt goes and kills him in slow motion, in glorious like 300 slow motion.
That's the one thing about Ray Liotta. You know, it's like Goodfellas was like that prime moment, and then it's almost like I'm not too sure if people kind of like did they just want to like kind of like go like, oh, I mean, I would love to have Ray Liotta in my movie, so I'm gonna put him in this little character part, but like they never seem to give him like the grandest characters, like as far as like he does a great job with what he gets, but I mean it's not like it's like, oh, do I gotta be the good guy? No, you don't even get to be the bad guy.
He kind of got a little bit of that. He got a little bit of that in whatchamacallit, and that assassin movie I told you about. Smoking Aces. He was Ryan Reynolds' friend. He was an FBI agent, and he dies by the end of the movie. But he is like one of the two good guys in it.
Huh. Interesting. Okay, so at least he's getting a little bit of a saving grace there. But,
yeah.
No, there's just some sweet cameos in Sin City, like because you see people up in there in the titles, and you're like, well, how much is the guy going to be in it? Like, was Stacy Keach like that kind of like blob-looking guy in like the business suit?
I'm guessing so, and a lot of makeup. Probably.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking it was. Because when I saw his time, I'm like, oh, that's fucking awesome. But I'm like, I know he's not probably gonna be the biggest role, but still, Stacy Keach, come on.
Mm-hmm.
He was in the title of the show.
I do think there is a thing though recently. I think one reason a lot of people didn't really care to see this is Frank Miller has, even though I respect a lot of his work, he has gone a little crazy over the years. A lot of people don't like his more recent writings, and on top of that, there's like the way how he was acting during the Occupy movement. And then on top of that, there's another one where he was, what was it exactly? He was, what was it? Oh yeah, there is that one book, I want to say it was called Holy War, where originally he was writing a book about Batman going after and murdering a bunch of terrorists. But DC's like, do you really think we're going to let you do that with Batman and Catwoman? He's like, all right. And then he went and made his own character who was just basically going like on a holy crusade against a bunch of terrorists.
Huh. Well, I always just kind of say it's like if he can write whatever he wants, and I know that it seems like a lot of comic book writers get a lot of slack when they get older, like where the people just don't seem to care too much like what they write. It's like whatever they seem to write just seems really not good enough. Because I noticed that Neil Adams seems to get that too. You go look at any of his like modern books, and there's always about like 3 people that are getting even kind of like an okay or kind of a shitty review. Mm-hmm. And I've read both of Neil Adams' like modern books, and I like both of them quite a bit. I thought they had great ideas in them.
Are you talking like his Batman book and his X-Men book?
Yeah, both of those were really good.
And I haven't read that book by Frank Miller. I mean, I'm not sure what it is. I guess the whole thing with him calling, because he was calling a bunch of like, I mean, look, the Occupy thing wasn't well organized, and I'm not trying to go back to welcome to 2 years ago, but the Occupy thing wasn't well organized. But he went out of his way and said, oh yeah, the Occupy movement, nothing but a bunch of rapists and thieves who deserve to get shot. It's just like, okay, Rush Limbaugh, but then again, maybe it got taken out of context or who knows what. But yeah. And then the whole holy war thing, I heard that was, I'm not sure what it is exactly. Maybe it's kind of like a self-aware, kind of like this is meant to be extreme. You're not really meant to agree with this. Maybe it's meant to be an extreme book. I don't really know exactly, because he blatantly said, no, it is propaganda. He blatantly said that. So sometimes maybe it's kind of a trying to play a trick on the audience kind of thing. I don't know.
Well, he likes to write all that kind of stuff anyways. There's like that one, the one about I have it, but I'm drawing up like what it's called. It's like Liberty. It stars like the black girl in it. It's about her like rising up in power in her area and whatnot. God, I'm totally drawing up a blank what it's called.
Is it an existing superhero or
no? It's like a Frank Miller like standalone story. It came out like in '95. Has Dave Gibbons does the artwork for it.
Oh, really? Okay.
Totally drawing a blank on it. But
well, who knows? I mean,
he has stuff like that. So seeing the holy war thing doesn't sound like out of place.
Yeah. A lot of people are saying it was incredibly racist and all that, and I wouldn't know. I have not read the book. I'm curious about it just so I can say I read it, and so I can say, because I want to believe he's the guy who created Dark Knight Returns and Sin City is smarter than that. I want to believe that maybe this was just some kind of, maybe social experiment, or maybe something like something around the lines, because he said, no, it is propaganda. So if he comes out and says that, then it sounds like clearly he was trying to do something outside the box.
Yeah, it's probably what it was. This seems to happen a lot. I know is that people like read things and they take it full on serious, and sometimes they don't get like how it's written.
Yeah,
and that might be the case. I'm not too sure. Once again, I haven't read it, but I'm gonna go more on his side and say like I think he probably was doing something. He knew what he was doing. Just I think people just might not have got it.
Yeah. Maybe. I still got to read it, but I'm just curious about that. And this one right here, I think that and then he did the thing, because I think sometimes, I think that's going to be the hardest thing about being someone who made it big a long time ago, and then people expecting you to come out with something equally as good now. It's kind of like, I guess it kind of goes with anything, not just with comics or writing, but I guess just also just in music. I mean, there's so many people that shit on whatever new Bruce Springsteen album or whatever kind of like new Iggy Pop album or something. Sometimes I think, you just got to like, well, you can't expect them to do the same thing they did back then. I mean, you just gotta kind of expect something different. It's been at least 20 or 30 years for a lot of these different things they did, so naturally they're going to change,
Yeah, the way I look at it, it's just like, because I seem to be one of those people that like, I like actually a lot of the modern stuff that some artists create. I almost kind of go with some musician and go, man, they're making better music now than they were back in the day. I mean, that's not always true.
I mean, I don't know if I'm not saying if I like it more, but I definitely love what Bruce Springsteen's done in the last 10 years. The last 10 years is more recent stuff. It's really good. I'm not going to say it's better than, better than like his stuff on Badlands or anything on E Street, but I got to double check and listen to it, but some of it might be. I know that still the more recent stuff he's doing is still really good though.
Yeah. Is it called Holy
Darkness on the Edge of Town? That's what I was thinking of. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Now, is it Holy Terror is what it's called?
I think that's what it's called, Holy Terror.
Okay, well, you can pick this up for like $7 used, so.
And it was originally called, I think it was called Holy Terror, Batman. I think that's what it was called. It was supposed to be like the next Dark Knight Returns, but but then he just, they're like, we're not going to let you do that with Batman. So he's like, all right, I'll just make my own new character then. So.
Huh. It looks kind of cool because it really does actually look like Dark Knight Returns, like drawing wise. I mean, I know it's Frank Miller, but his, they do vary between books.
Yeah.
And the very first review on Amazon is a 1-star one, and it just says final evidence and that Frank Miller has lost it case. And then the second review is a 1-star and it says Holy Terror, Batman. And then the third review is a 1-star. If Miller can't care, you should not care. And then just 1-star, 1-star, 3-star, 4-star, couple 5 stars. Great book. So it seems like somebody says 1-star, stinky cheese. It looks like there's some people that seem to like it. I don't know. I will say this. because a lot of times on a comic book, something that can always at least kind of keep me going is if I like the artist like work, like the drawings and everything. That in itself sometimes will just sell me a book to like read it.
His artwork is hit or miss with me. I think his artwork looks good in Dark Knight Returns. When I first read it, I didn't really care for his artwork. But then I think his artwork looks... It's kind of the thing that scared me off from reading Dark Knight Strikes Back. Because there are times where it just looked like he was just left in a room with cocaine and a digital drawings program. And for like a month. And I'm just like, what the fuck is going on? Just staring at that book. I still got to read it. But visually, though, that book just looked a little weird to me. There are times where I think his art style does look really cool, though, like in Sin City or Dark Knight Returns.
Yeah, it's like in Dark Knight Strikes Back, that definitely is one of those stories it is kind of confusing. Like, I don't know. When I read it, I wasn't really too sure exactly what the hell was going on. That's how it felt to me.
Does Brainiac turn into a frog?
Not that I remember, but as I said,
I remember a frog
it almost
like
just went
Brainiac.
so over my head when reading it. I feel like it's one of those ones you almost got to read it once and then come back and reread it right again, and maybe you'll get it. But I don't know, by the time I probably go back and reread it, I'll probably totally forget it.
Go to Warner Brothers Animation, just like, can you guys just make this? Like, well, it's not exactly a favorite. Like, I know, I just need someone else to explain to me what just happened.
Yeah, you know? If it's in cartoon form, I might be able to get it.
Mm-hmm. No. I remember there's a part someone's fighting an octopus naked. I remember that. But was that Superman or Batman?
I can't remember once again. As I said, it's one of those ones I read through it, but like it really was just one of those ones. Like the only thing that really stuck out to me was like, Carrie Kelly decides to become kind of like Catwoman, sort of, and she gets rid of the Robin uniform, and Batman doesn't appear until like fucking halfway into the book.
And I heard something like Dick Grayson ends up being the bad guy.
Yeah, they had something kind of weird like that. Which I think that I really will say this. I don't think Frank Miller likes fucking Dick Grayson very much.
Yeah,
because even in like even on this book doesn't bother me, but like in the Batman and Robin, or what was it called? All-Star Batman and Robin. He's kind of treating fucking Robin like a little bitch in that one the whole time, and it's Dick Grayson Robin too.
And plus he has a line. I mean, this line right here also says like, I guess this is a little bit behind the times. It also says, like, Robin says, that is totally queer. You know, he keeps on saying that's totally queer. I'm just like, I've heard, not saying I promote it, but but I've never heard a kid say that's totally queer. I hear kids say that's totally gay, and I don't really promote that. Gay is
almost even a bypass one, too, because that's almost like 90s generation. Because whenever, like, one thing I always think, there's a line in, Wrong Turn, which I still think is one of the best horror movies. But it's part where the girl's like, she's like, that's so fucking gay. And I'm like, that line right there tells you exactly when that movie came out.
There's also a line, and I think I may have used this once, but one of those, every so often you'll have one or two lines that really like stamp a date on it. And I want to say it was 16 Candles. And it's the part where she's the redhead that's in all the John Hughes movies, says to Anthony Michael Hall, she says, are you a faggot or something? Because there is no way you can get away with that this day and age. That right there, it's like, this is the likable main character we're all supposed to get along with, saying that right there. There's no way today you can have the main character say that unless they were like involved in like organized crime or some shit, you know?
Yeah. No, it's like nowadays it's just one of those ones people are so touchy about that. But back then it was just like whatever, people just said. It's sometimes kind of that weird thing where it's like we think we're farther ahead now. We feel like we could almost do more in movies, yet we can almost do less too at the same time. It's almost like a trade.
I think it all varies. I think it all varies. Doesn't really bother me. I don't really care about that so much. I guess it's more of like,
I always look at it's like I always go like the freedom of speech thing. It's like no matter what, I feel like people should be able to say whatever the hell they want. If you don't agree with it, it's just words. It's not like they're going out and like beating fags in the street with it. And a lot of times when people say faggot, that doesn't mean queer or a homo or something like that. It just means it's one of those words that words changed meanings way 20 years ago to not being gay anymore. Not saying a gay person can't be a faggot, but it mostly never means that.
Yeah, I know that generally this day and age, what most people mean. They don't really mean it like as a insult as like, someone's sexual innuendo or anything like that. It's just, but at the same time though, you still get people that kind of cringe a little bit around the word. So it's just like, oh, okay. I mean, I understand if they're trying to stop saying it, but because I know where it derives from.
And it doesn't even derive from that.
When I think of it, when I think of it though, I do usually think of like, oh, they mean that as just like an insult, as like an like someone who's an asshole or someone who's annoying, not someone who's gay.
Yeah, I suppose it just means someone who's a douche more than anything else. And it's kind of like queer. Nobody uses that for strange anymore, unless you're fucking in, The Hobbit or something.
Yeah, well, it was like, this is quite queer. It was like, it was in the old, like, I want to say the old cartoon. Didn't he like grab like when he first came across the ring, like, this is quite queer or something like that?
Yeah, and it says it like in the books and all that stuff too. And it just, I remember being like 10-year-old kids reading that, like, he said it was queer.
That was one of those things when you were a kid and you got to that part, everyone turned and laughed and kind of pointed, or like the teacher would be reading it aloud,
I mean, strange. What's wrong with you kids?
There'd always be those moments in like a book when like a teacher would, like when you're in elementary school or even, I'll go as far and say high school, and she was reading the book and she got to a certain point and she said it aloud. It would be like something, well, that is just as queer as day or something like that, and just the whole class go,
And it's all, even up in like college, that still kind of keeps going on. I don't think that really ever goes away slightly.
I still had the kind of like, that part in Billy Madison. Turn to page 69. I had a teacher say that one time, and me and one other person in class like.
Well, plus if it comes from like a movie too, that just like tops it off.
Yeah, it's like, it's true. The 69 thing has never gone away. I still kind of chuckle whenever,
Yeah, I don't think those things kind of go away. I think no matter what, there's always a little bit of like, makes you want to laugh just a tad bit.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like being in science class and there are little words like cleavage and dyke.
Well, I remember when we were taking in, like, we had a human health in high school. I remember when we had human health, there was actually there are certain words that our teacher wasn't allowed to use because, keep in mind we grew up in a little like Bible Belt town in Northern California, so there were like certain words you weren't allowed to use. So you couldn't say, like, you have to say, so, anal sex, that is not normal. There's certain things that you had to say, like when you got down to that part, like, okay, so we have to talk about it, but I got to say it's not normal. And you can kind of see it in his face, like, I don't want to fucking talk about this.
Like, I really don't even want to teach this class. It just kind of fell into my lap. I could have used the extra $20,000.
I'm doing a favor for the principal, he's going to push me to 10-year quicker, so. It was one of the few teachers of that school I did like, so, yeah.
Yeah.
Mr. Shaw.
Yeah, he was cool. I liked him a lot. I liked his history class. He really showed a lot of sweet movies that, like, I don't know if I would have saw, at least not at the time, without being in that class.
I was kind of surprised for being a history class. He showed First Night.
Did he show First Night in your class? I didn't get to see that there. I've seen that movie.
Yeah, he showed...
I just remember because, like, even though I saw this movie prior to that, he showed Enemy at the Gates, and then also Far and Away with Tom Cruise, and then
showed that.
One really cool movie where it's like, I don't remember what it's called, but it's where like these three brothers get in like this Cadillac and they're gonna drive it from like California to Florida.
Yeah, that was for driver's ed.
Yeah, maybe that's what it was. Because it's got a car in it. It's close enough.
And I remember we literally pointed out, like, okay, what was their mistake right there? They did not stop. It was like for like just something that happens at the first like 30, because what happens is the three brothers, they got I forget what it's called, but these three brothers, they got to take this Cadillac for their mother across that from California to Florida for her Mother's Day present. And then
the whole point's like a bonding thing. It's like, I think the dad plans it out, or somebody plans it out. They're like, I want your kids to get along with each other. You haven't talked to each other in 20 years or something like that.
But he didn't say that. He's one of those hard-nosed dads who's always really tough on his kids, and they're all trying to impress him. And then at the very end, the car gets wrecked. They get it fixed. Everything's going good. They bond on the way there. It's a road trip movie. By the time they actually get there, though, some guys they fucked over earlier in the movie come in, and one of them hits the car with the side of a bat. Hits the side of the car with a bat, just enough to dent it. Like, oh, we're fucked. We're already around the corner. What are we gonna do? And it has one of these heartwarming, because they find out the dad has cancer at some point in the movie. Mm-hmm. And they get home, and then like the dad's like, "You guys got along?" He's like, "Yeah." Like, there's a dent in there. He's like, "I never gave a damn about the car. I cared about you guys." One of those moments. Yeah. It's like, you know it's gonna happen, but it's actually that you get that like, heartwarming moment just for a second.
Coming together, man.
Before you get like the cynicism about the movie's over. Actually, that's bullshit. No.
Bullshit. I want you guys to go back and try it over again.
Fuck you. Ride all the way back to Florida. Get it fixed. Come back. Be a real fucking man. Not this fucking disappointment that you are. Spits in one of his son's face. Walks out the room.
Do you remember what that movie was called? Because that's a great movie. I'd love to see it again.
I don't remember. I could. There's no way for me to track it down because I don't even remember the actors that were in it. But yeah, I remember.
I can't think of anything about it. I can just think of the plot and the story. And being a great movie.
They're arguing over the song like, it's like I can't even remember the fucking words. I know the song. But there's a part where they're having an argument about what the song is about. There's that one song, hey, hey, low, low. Nah, nah. It's almost kind of like it's almost kind of like definitely like an old 50s kind of. And basically they say, oh, the song. They're like, the song's about humping. No, the song's about sailing. I know the song. I cannot think of the words to save my life. It's one of the songs you know the beat in your head, but you don't know the words because the words don't really matter that much.
Mm-hmm.
So.
No, it was a good movie. So if anybody knows that movie, send an email in because God knows what that movie is.
One time I was talking about that Fat Camp movie, and someone, I want to say maybe it was Jacob Sampson. I don't know. Someone sent it. Maybe it was David Freslow, and said like, "Oh yeah, that's like heavyweights or something like that." I'm like, "Oh okay." I'm glad someone knows about that.
I remember that Fat Camp movie.
Well, also the funny thing, that movie was actually written by Judd Apatow, but now thinking back on it though, so every so often they'll come out with one of those movies. It's like, look, we made this movie for you guys, yet it's still it's almost kind of more insulting than it is kind of for like, I don't really feel like anybody is like looking out for me. I feel like you guys are just making fun of me, just giving me a soul at the last minute. Yeah, there's a lot of fat jokes in it.
Yeah, that's pretty much what that movie was all about. It was really made for like everybody who wasn't the fat kid just to like laugh, and then at the end it's like there's a little bit of a turnaround just so like because sadly enough this was the choice that the fat kid had for his birthday party to take everybody to. It was back in the day when there was only so many movies coming out at a time, and it was between this and some kind of like mom movie or something.
It's like, Mom, I really want to go see Seven. Can we please go see Seven? Sorry, that's rated R. We have to go see this Fat Camp movie, but I'm the one fat kid in my group of friends, Mom. They're all going to make fun of me. No, they won't.
Oh, really? Maybe this will make you lose some weight then. Maybe you'll get some tips and pointers. Because sure as hell not getting them from me.
But Mom, fuck you, fatty. Your birthday's not until tomorrow. I don't got to be nice to you yet.
The first it picks on the most.
Now run up those stairs if you can, all right? If you can, without crying, and you have a happy birthday tomorrow morning, okay?
Well, what did you think about that?
This is why Dad left.
His mom was so cynical towards me, criticizing me on my fatness. What did you think about that new Quentin Tarantino like teaser trailer for the? Drawing a blank on the title right now.
Is it a Tarantino trailer for a movie of his?
Yeah, for the Eight. The Hateful Eight. There we go.
He actually did make Hateful Eight?
Oh, yeah. You didn't know he was making that already?
I thought that he was still kind of like, not happening, and arms crossed. I thought he was still doing that shit.
No, maybe I talked about this with on a Cameron podcast or something. But, no, after a while, he's like, okay, well, whatever, fuck it, just because people see it, that doesn't mean they haven't seen it like the way I want it to look. So he went back and started working on it. It's coming out next year.
Oh, damn.
They had a teaser trailer. Idea. Now, it didn't have any, footage. It was just more,
names and,
He just kind of, pretty much just showed the names of all the characters and kind of had, like that Japanese paint style, kind of like Okami.
Metal Gear Solid-ish.
Yeah, like Metal Gear Solid, had that look to it.
Well, I heard. Look, here's something I am looking forward to that movie. I look forward to anything Quentin Tarantino does. I'm expecting this one to be more in the vein of what we expect to be a Quentin Tarantino movie. Because I read a quick synopsis. When I heard that he wasn't going to make the movie, I'm like, fuck it, I'm just going to read it. Because if he's not going to make the movie. And then I couldn't really find the script without downloading something. And I didn't really trust a lot of the websites. It was saying, download it all here. So I just read a quick synopsis. And it said, after a heist. It almost sounded just like a Western version of Reservoir Dogs. After a heist gets wrong, they have a rendezvous point and they try and figure out what happens. Now, I don't know if that's someone fucking with me. Like,
no, it takes place after the Civil War, so.
Okay.
So it is a Western movie.
Yeah, but it was a Western still, but a Western after a bank robbery went wrong. These guys meet up, and it kind of doesn't take place in very many spots. There's some flashbacks, but it mostly takes place in this one spot. So just basically like a Western version of Reservoir Dogs. That's what I read. Not the actual script, but the little like synopsis thing. So I really hope it's not that. I mean, I would see it even if it was. Because I'm kind of glad that he's trying new and different things, and every movie has been something way different than the other.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as this is over, I'm going to go right on YouTube and check that out. The thing about where the theater I go to is it's kind of a plus and kind of a downside. They only play 2 or 3 trailers, and the 2 or 3 trailers they show are to movies that are coming to that theater.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
So that, because it's a smaller theater, so that's cool. That makes sense. I'm happy about that. But at the same time, now I'm a little like, I didn't see that. And plus, also, every single time I go there, I'm seeing one of the same 2 or 3 trailers for like 2 whole months, basically. So
yeah, that's got to kind of suck because nothing's worse than
I seen the Interstate. I seen the Interstellar trailer so many times by this point.
Well, yeah, that was about. I want to say there was something else kind of cool trailer wise, but I think it was movies I already seen. But that was like the main thing. It was like, oh fucking hey, that's awesome. I'm surprised. I actually didn't show that yours though, just for the fact that seems like a movie you'd want. If you're gonna show any trailer, show that one.
You think they would have, but no, they didn't show that. I'm gonna look that up on YouTube as soon as I'm done here. And I'm also glad about how quickly he's coming out with movies. For a while, it was like every 4 to 6 years he'd come out with a movie, it seemed. But now he's kind of like back on the horse and just cranking them out,
Well, that's good because I always have to give Robert Rodriguez credit, no matter what, that he's always has something each year. And what's a plus right now is I think that Sin City 2 was the first time in a long while that Robert Rodriguez released 2 action movies in a row.
Yeah,
because it used to always be like it pretty much was every 2 years for a Robert Rodriguez movie because you had to put up with one stupid kids movie and then he'd finally get back to like where he should have been in the first place.
Well, I want to say Sin City 1 and Shark Boy and Lava Girl came out the same week.
Yeah, I want to say they came out, or at least right around the same time.
Yeah, so.
But mostly it was always like, before, I think, because Machete 2 was last, and then before that, I want to say was that, like, Spy Kids 4 or 5 or something, and then before that was Machete 1, maybe? And then before that was, like, that Shorts or whatever.
Who gives a fuck?
Shorts. Who gives a fuck?
I don't even think I like Robert Rodriguez a lot, but I don't even think he gives a fuck about his kid movies. I think it's just like, here's something I make for my kids. They'll like it, and I get to make some quick money off it. That's what I really think. And, I give him credit for that. I think maybe 1 or 2 of his kid movies he might give a fuck about. I think he might give a fuck about Spy Kids 1, maybe Spy Kids 2. Beyond that, though, I'm not sure if he really fucking cares about his kids' movies.
I almost feel like
himself.
Spy Kids is like, he gets to try out all these effects and techniques that he doesn't want to try out on like an important movie.
Well, the thing is, one of the Spy Kids movies, I want to say Spy Kids 3, Stallone's the bad guy.
Yeah, there's always something in a Spy Kids movie that makes me kind of go, I kind of would want to see it just to see Stallone, but no.
It's kind of made me sad knowing that he was the bad guy. Like, maybe I don't want to see this movie now that I know that he's like in like a CG land, like you damn Spy Kids. He's not gonna say damn because it's a kids movie.
Well, it's a PG kids movie. He could say damn.
He could.
He is the bad guy. If anybody's gonna say damn, it's gonna be the bad guy.
Like, he said that in a kids movie. Even when I've ever said damn or ass, like in a Disney movie or a kids movie, like, I know it's PG, but still, they put that in there knowing kids were gonna see this. Yeah. That's kind of like when they're
teaching kids damn and hell and.
That's why when you go see like X-Men now, how every X-Men movie says fuck at least once since First Class. Mm-hmm. So now I'm just kind of like every single time, like, they know kids are going to see this. They know kids are going to buy the Wolverine action figure, and like with voice command action, you push the little button on his back.
Off.
Fuck. Yeah, that's all it is. That's the one thing he says.
It also comes with stogie and like vodka, or not vodka, but like a beer.
We also got like drugged out 1970s like Xavier, like fuck off. That's his too. they actually passed the mantle on. They passed the fuck off mantle to Xavier in the new X-Men.
Well,
So,
he was so angry and drunk because of that, fuck off he got from Wolverine that it really took a damper on his life. He was able to go through the end of First Class, but after that, he was sitting at home alone, and it really got to him. He's like, nobody's ever said that before to me. It's like these movies have always been PG-13.
Yeah, it's slowly like Xavier actually had to wipe it from his mind from ever happening.
So he literally tried to not think about his powers.
I gotta find something. All right, powers. There we go. Okay, and then just spiral down into alcoholism. Okay, that works too. All right, now I forgot about the fuck off thing. They were good.
Other than that, though, I just remember there's a bunch of shitty horror movie trailers, and I don't know if it's one of those ones. It's just are they just coming out with a lot of crappy horror movies, or am I just getting old to the point where I just don't care about horror
Is
movies?
one of them by chance Jack the Killer?
No, I don't think so. I don't know what that.
I don't even know if there's a trailer coming out for that, but I was just wondering if one of them was for Jack the Killer.
I mean, even though in 2 weeks there's a horror movie I'm really looking forward to, but other than that,
what's the horror film you're really looking forward to?
The Green Inferno, Eli Roth's new movie.
Oh yeah, I saw the trailer.
That
for
looks
that
amazing.
One.
It really
sure,
just looks
really...
it looks like a Cannibal Holocaust. That's why it looks so cool. And
he said that was one of his main influences for it, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, apparently in Hostel 2, he had the director of Cannibal Holocaust in that movie.
Oh, okay. I'm just not really into big bloody. I mean, I like violence, but I guess I don't. And I like horror films, but I'm not really big on I guess the torture horror films. So I don't know if I'm gonna check that one out. I like more I guess psychological horror films, or even though or pretty much a good zombie movie or psychological horror films mainly.
Mm-hmm. Well,
not trying to sound all snobby or pretentious. In slasher films, depending on the slasher film, I like it, but
Well, it's the thing about slasher films. It seems like it's kind of such a dead genre because it's when was the last? I mean, every once in a while we'll come with kind of these half-ass kind of like that Texas Chainsaw one, which they couldn't even finish the entire sentence.
Mm-hmm.
But it's one of those ones they really just need to make a really good Jason or Freddy movie again, but keep it kind of in the old style, not trying, because now the last couple ones they weren't bad, but they weren't really amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And,
I never saw the new one.
Really, the last really good one was Freddy vs. Jason, because that movie was fucking awesome. But since then.
The one problem I hear people say about that is a lot of people were getting pissed off, it was more about Freddy, and then Jason fans want to be more about Jason. And I guess it's the problem when you have a cross-genre film, a cross-franchise.
Yeah, I think no matter what, I think that's just kind of unavoidable. It's sort of like if they made a Stallone versus Schwarzenegger movie, and the whole point was just it was if they called it Rambo versus Terminator, let's just say it like that. No matter what, somebody's going to be so pissed if, at the end, Rambo blows up the Terminator. You know what I mean? There's no way you can get that around. Or if fucking, the Terminator strangles Rambo to death, and that's the end of that, so.
Which I would actually be pissed off if the Terminator beat Rambo.
Yeah, I kind of feel but what if it was a Terminator, from Terminator 2 Terminator, so it was almost like he was a good guy. But for some reason, Rambo just feared technology.
And they end up having to work together against maybe T-1000 at the end.
See, that would be the way to do it.
No. There is there's some guy in Vietnam that got away from Rambo, who is his arch nemesis, and then for some reason the T-1000 just decides to fuse with that guy. So there you go. You got a reason for the two of them to work together.
Exactly.
The guy's an amputee. The guy's an amputee due to Rambo, and that guy wants revenge. And even though the T-1000 usually probably wouldn't give a shit, fuck it. This gives them both a reason to team up. So, yeah, they fuse together. There you go.
Exactly.
And he has knife hands now. And he has, armor, T-1000 armor. There you go.
But, in general...
As stupid as it sounds, we don't see it. Sorry, go ahead.
That's no matter what, but, people always will get pissed somehow, some way, just because... If one that just died, it's kind of that's kind of how Freddy versus Jason was. It was no matter what, somebody's going to have a slight upper hand. And it's I like both those characters so much, it's I don't really care.
Mm-hmm.
But,
I think, I never saw that one, but I would want Jason to win more, I think, just because I just like Jason more than I like Freddy.
I kind of agree there, too. Don't get me wrong, I really like Freddy, but I actually do like the Friday the 13th movies a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
But even I probably would say, though, if you had to take just one movie, I don't know, Friday the 13th or Nightmare on Elm Street Part 1 might be better than just one singular movie from Friday the 13th. But I think series-wise, I like the Friday the 13th a little bit more. I don't know, it's a toss-up, though, still.
Wasn't the one Friday the 13th movie about like it actually starred Wes Craven and like Freddy was leaving the movie and coming for like the actress in the movie or something like that?
The Wes Craven's New Nightmare.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like
Wasn't
the
that
sixth or seventh, like
is that actual chronology or is that just kind of like here's our Live and Let Die.
no,
Not Live and
it's
Let
actually
Die, our
License to Kill.
Thunderball, License to Kill.
Oh,
Yeah.
I know. You're talking about you only are fucking the double like the Bastard Child 007. Even though there's a couple of those ones, but Never Say Never Again.
Yeah, Never Say Never Again. Yeah.
But
Is that what that one kind of was?
no,
Or was
no,
that
it's actually like it's. I want to say it's either number 6 or number 7. It's in the line of all of them.
Mm-hmm. I wasn't sure if Wes Craven's New Nightmare, if it was actually just called like, oh, Wes Craven, like, I wasn't sure if like, oh, Wes Craven's actually part of the title, or if it's just kind of like Frank Miller's.
Hold on, I'm gonna
sure.
pause this for a second. Laura's got a massage coming in.
Okay.
All right, everything's ready, so if you want to just go ahead.
I'm not too sure if we like.
You don't want to be screaming, like butt fucking jokes at the top of your lungs when Laura's doing the massage.
It's like once I picked the computer up, but yeah, it's like I'm kind of plugged in though. That's the only downfall.
We're almost done now. I think we have 40 minutes from yesterday. If we just want to tack it on there, just give them a half-ass. Like we don't have a good podcast, but here's like 2 half-ass podcasts that you can have.
Yeah.
Fuck it, it's free.
In just a second, we got a very nice comment I'd like to read. Okay.
Oh, that's awesome.
Okay, well, I'm just going to finish this off from here. 1, 2, 3. But yeah, Freddy vs. Jason. That was a good one. I'd like to see more movies kind of like in that style where we just take 2 beloved characters and have them fight.
It usually
I'd like
equals
to see Rambo versus Terminator. I don't care what anybody says. That sounds.
Maybe Freddy vs. Jason is the one successful one. I've only seen parts of that movie, and I don't know enough about either of those characters because I've seen Friday the 13th 1 and 2 and liked them. I've actually never sat down and watched the full Freddy movie just because I saw it at a young age. It was one of those movies that kind of fucking traumatized me, but I'm actually going to sit down at some point and actually watch those movies now. I could probably, But I think the problem with like a cross franchise film is you're going to get like one character kind of getting disservice compared to another character. That was kind of, but then again, I don't know. A good one's going to happen sooner or later. I guess the first good one we had was Avengers. First really good one we had was Avengers.
Yeah, I guess that's true. I don't think about that, but that actually really is like the same thing as Freddy vs. Jason, or that same style of movie. Again, I guess it's kind of almost like Expendables, sort of like that too, without being characters but more actors.
Yeah.
But we're gonna wrap this up here, I guess, and combined our podcast together. And I'm not too sure. It might be about an hour and a half. It could be an hour and 40. It could be an hour. Well, it's somewhere ballpark average around there. But we got a nice comment from the Arnold Radio News, which is the ArnoldFans.com. And here it is. He said, "Excellent discussion on Expendables 3. Glad you liked it and you're encouraging others to go out and check it out in theaters. I agree with most of your thoughts. Stallone was the one talked about doing the Expendables next, which is the female one. And it sounds like he would cameo in it with Robert Lukatic directing. And I think that was that the guy that directed Expendables 3?
Possibly.
I can't remember. That name sounds familiar. But he wanted to have Sigourney Weaver play his ex, but she's not interested.
Oh, come on.
It just reminds me like Stallone calls up, hey, Sigourney, you want to play my ex? And just hangs up the phone.
Oh, that come on, Sigourney. That's just that's perfect casting right there.
Well, it's like one's like
Ripley. It's Ripley. Come on.
It's like, come on, you gotta be like, it's like one.
You're in Cabin in the Woods. You can be in Expendables 4.
Yeah.
Or Expendables.
Yeah, why would you not want to be in it? And then he says, "Good podcast. You guys have a lot of fun. Sometimes a twisted sense of humor. Now we have Arnold coming out and Maggie this October to look forward to." So that was a comment.
Oh yeah, that's is Maggie, is that the zombie movie that Arnold was talking about?
Yeah, and I didn't realize it was coming out this soon. And it's like once like there's still not a trailer for it or anything like that.
I will say this, I'm kind of surprised Arnold hasn't I'm surprised that now that Arnold and Stallone are being in movies together, I kind of want, even though I do like Stallone a lot, I'm not sure which one. I think I like Arnold more though still. I kind of want I want there one to be where Stallone's not the main character, or Arnold's the main character, but Stallone's still there hanging out. You know, I kind of want that because it's always been ever since they became buddies. Well, I guess they've been sort of friends for a while, but it's ever since they started appearing in movies together, it's been the two of them. Just Arnold's been the friend. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, because you think about it, the Expendables, and now it's pretty much always been the kind of the Stallone and Statham show. But then you had Escape Plan, and it's more of a Stallone movie, and Arnold's more kind of like the secondary character, even though he still has quite a bit in it.
Then we have that Turner. I felt like such a dumbass when he's like, "Oh, there's the one guy that went in there. We lost contact with him. I cannot believe that didn't cross my mind. Oh yeah, it's Arnold. Who else could it be? I cannot believe that didn't cross my mind at all. I'm like, oh right, that other guy.
Oh, the other guy on the poster.
Well, I mean, I knew Arnold. Well, I knew Arnold was going to be in there, but I just for whatever reason didn't even think of Arnold for whatever when they mentioned some other guy's name. Just like, oh, who could that be? Huh?
But yeah, I would love to see it.
Caviezel, Jesus? Is it Jesus? Maybe? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, like that's probably the other thing other than Schwarzenegger. Just a movie title just says Stallone, Schwarzenegger, Christ.
Only Schwarzenegger and Stallone could defeat Jesus.
that's
we didn't get any hate mail before. We're gonna get it now.
The Rambo Terminator. That's what the main villain turns out to be.
The Rambo Terminator. It's like Rambo instead of like a Terminator mech suit fighting a giant Jesus.
I would still go and see that.
Fuck yeah.
But that Maggie movie, it's like you'd think there would be at least some stuff on it, but like I haven't seen anything about it. I think that's why I didn't think of anything about it coming out so soon, because I was like, I heard about it and that's about it.
Now, is that the movie where it's about like Arnold's daughter gets turned into a zombie and he's trying to bring her back or something, or just trying like is that the one?
Yeah, it's the zombie one of Schwarzenegger, and he has a daughter and whatnot. So it sounds sweet because one, if you think about it, the only time that really Arnold's ever been in a horror movie is really just Terminator 1, and I guess
End of Days. End of Days.
That's
sort of a horror.
I guess yeah. That's like those movies that all kind of came out around that time that it's sort of like in that Dogma category where it's like I guess they have horror movie elements to them.
Dogma and Blade, I guess. I mean, I know those are two really different movies there, but I guess they all kind of had they had horror elements to them, but not full tilt horror films.
Yeah. So I guess that's true. That one's kind of like a partial horror movie, but so it's just something that he generally doesn't do too often. So that will be cool to look forward to. But as I said, it's like I went to check out for a trailer today, and so it's like there's still nothing up on there. But and it's just that's kind of strange. You mostly always at least get a trailer at least a couple months prior to the movie coming out. But then again, turning this back to Sin City 2, that movie felt like I saw a trailer like 2, maybe 3 months prior to before it came out. It literally came out of nowhere. And maybe it's it's probably because I just kind of gave up on that movie. I just didn't think it was ever coming out.
Same here, but I'm wondering, do you think Sin City 3 is going to come out possibly, or because I know that for a while when they were talking about Sin City 2, what's fucking happening? As soon as Frank Miller's done making The Spirit, and as soon as Robert Rodriguez is done making Machete, and as soon as he's done with Spy Kids 12, then we just kind of said it's not happening. But do you think, because for a while they're talking about like they're going to make them all in a row, and one movie they're going to come out like a year apart from each other. So now I'm wondering, they got a couple more books they got to do. Just only one more of the books got made. I think 2 of them were their own standalone stories based on the movies. So they're just made just for the movie. So I'm wondering if we are going to get the other books.
Well, I think there's 6 books in total.
Mm-hmm.
So
we got 4 done. So I guess that's at least 2 more movies.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens there. The only thing, it's all going to probably be how much money this movie makes. And sadly, I think this movie is going to get kind of left in the dust.
I mean, this day and age, it wouldn't surprise me. I hope this doesn't happen. I hope the movie actually gets made. It makes enough to have another sequel. But I can see it possibly happening, and we probably wouldn't even notice a drop in production. But it wouldn't surprise me if Robert Rodriguez just did a digital direct or kind of like put it on his El Rey station.
Yeah, it's something like, as long as they just continue it somehow, some way, I just hopefully the movie will make its money. We don't know yet. It's only Friday, but maybe people will come out and see it, but I just don't. I think that what really killed this movie, if this movie doesn't make enough money, I'm going to say the exact reason why it killed it was it took too long to come out.
Yeah.
By the time it finally came out, it's almost like, as I said, like I myself, biggest Robert Rodriguez fan ever, like that movie, I just saw a trailer one day on TV and I was like, what the fuck? And I think as I just kind of gave up looking at like Sin City, it's just like, oh well, I guess that's just a dead project to them.
I remember how excited we were when we first saw the trailer to The Spirit, and then we realized, oh wait, this is not Sin City.
I remember leaning over next year, like, dude, it's fucking Sin City 2. Oh my god. And it was just like, oh, never mind. It was like, it's one of those ones like that trailer so lies to you at the beginning.
And that movie wasn't even that good, unfortunately. But yeah.
But yeah. So thanks to the Arnold fans for sending this in.
Thank you so much. Yeah,
like
good podcast. They got
and they got a great podcast. They're on episode 4 right now, so go check it out. They actually got to interview the director and like the writers from like Expendables. Unlike ours, we have to fill it.
Oh damn!
We have to fill ours with like a fucking dick joke about a tattoo on the back of Stallone's. Back from Mickey Rourke. That was our like interview, I guess. But
maybe if we stop making dick jokes at the expense of our idols, maybe we could get an actual interview.
But well, yeah, that and we'd have to show up to like the premiere down in Los Angeles and what have you. But
that probably helped too, wouldn't it?
But so yeah, check out their podcast. They're starting it off, you know. So give them support. It's Arnold Radio News. And well, till then, make sure to check out oldmanorange.com. And I'm Spencer Scott Holmes.
I'm Ryan Dunigan.
And we will see you some other time.
Later. I've been waiting so long for someone to actually call me and not text me so I could actually hear the ringtone I just bought.
Dude, that's badass. Did you make that yourself?
I didn't know. I didn't make it myself. You know, I probably, now I think about it, probably could have, because it is just like beeps and tones, but I was killing time online. I just like cowboy bebop ringtones, like, oh, let's check this out. So
it was an 8-bit one.
Heard it. I've never actually bought a ringtone before. I've never bought a ringtone or anything like that. I'm not really one of those people who heavily customizes his phone, but I just heard that. I'm like, oh my God, gotta get that.
I remember like buying ringtones back, like you'd buy like one just to kind of say you had one like in like 2004. But then after that, it seems like they were all kind of like free and people were making them, and it was like, it was one of those ones like that. First they were like, oh, we got fucking people. We can charge the fuck out of them. You know what? They pay 99 cents for a song. Guess what? We'll charge them $1.30 for a ringtone. How long is that ringtone? It's 15 seconds long, and they'll fucking pay for it. Why? Because we're fucking AT&T, right?
Evil Republican
AT&T,
comes
fuck
out.
you. You have to buy our cell phone.
Yeah, that's what they tell me whenever I walk into their store.
That's really AT&T.
Like
They got so many people by the balls because they're like, well, where else are you going to go? Huh? What, you want?
Well,
you want to go somewhere else? Oh, guess what? They don't offer service in your area.
Yeah, there's an episode of South Park where I guess they're making fun of Comcast or any other like cable distributor, but I think I almost get that from AT&T or anything else. Like that episode where they're just like, "Oh, I'm so sorry." They start grabbing and twisting their nipples while they're on the phone. Like, "We don't have service. So sorry." The other guy comes in, leans over, starts twisting his nipples for him. It's just like, that's what I never really imagined that, but that actually matches every time I've had like one of those conversations with one of those guys on the phone. "Oh, I'm so sorry." Just such false sincerity.
I either get that, or I get the guys that are kind of like, yeah, I wish I wasn't here. I'm going to really help you out, but, you know, I mean, I'm getting close to it. There is a 5-story drop from this window. I really think I could prop this window up and jump out before anybody notices. Just letting you know. You know, I mean, I talk to people on the phone all day long. You're really my only friends. I don't even know what the fuck you look like, but that doesn't matter. I work here, and I help people, and most people hate me.
I try to be as nice as
possible.
I
always am, too, because I realize that they probably have to deal with so much shit in the day that I want to make sure that they have the greatest time in the world.
Yeah. I remember the time where somebody called asking, like, for, like, a survey, and you did it all, like, in like, a fake accent. And you're like, "Do you have Batman in HD?"
That was when like DirecTV called and stuff. I was like, "Do you have Batman in HD?" And the guy's like, "Oh, we got sports packages." No. I do not care about sports. Fuck you and your sports. I don't want the Batman in the HD. I remember the guy on the other side was just busting up laughing. See, I also like to try to do that. If I know I'm not going to buy anything from them, I'm going to put a smile on their face, you know? Hell, I've even talked to people for so much that I fucking like figured out where they lived, like what they were doing this weekend and whatnot. Made like a personal connection with them almost.
Just to hang up and never talk to him again.
Exactly. But hey, at least they'll remember that call. They'll be at least, that 5-story window was looking very nice today. But then that nice fella called, or I called that nice fella, and it changed everything.
And he said he wanted Batman in HD, and I just decided that, I can tough out 3 more months.
Well, really, the guy couldn't really prove it to me because I was like, okay, I already got the Dish Network. Now what makes the DirecTV different than Dish? I was just like, oh, it's sports, but fuck your sports. I don't like a sports.
I remember you said that. I remember you said fuck your sports.
You got Gaelic football. No, we don't. Well, then fuck that too.
No. That's nice of you to do that. I mean, I'm never a dick to him, but I am always kind of like just short and brief. I'm trying not to, I just hate talking to like business and that kind of stuff over the phone like that. But that's nice of you to realize, oh, I'm going to do something nice for them. But do you ever have one of those moments where you just kind of realize you're the dick? But it's one of those things, it's not like a huge revelation, like, oh my God, I'm the dick. It's more like, I'm the dick in this situation, but yet you're almost kind of like, I'm fine with that. I don't really care. Do you ever have that every so often?
Over the phone, like when you're kind of angry with someone?
Just in almost anything else. Maybe not on the phone, but almost like in any other. Has there ever been like that one or two things where you kind of take a step back, like, maybe I'm kind of the asshole, but then you realize, I don't really care. Fuck these guys.
The only time I ever feel like that's is when I'm asking for money from people. I don't know why. I don't like to ask for money from people. I hate always having to do that, where it's just like, you almost feel like you just gotta come like, yo, you got the money? You got the fucking money there, buddy?
No, I see what you mean. I
don't know why. I hate asking people for money sometimes.
I don't like asking for money either. That's one thing. I mean, by asking for money, I mean,
a lot of people go like,
they clearly not begging.
Owe you money and stuff, but there's just that thing of just like,
you were doing that to me for a little while just because I kept on forgetting to send the check, and then I was like, oh, I'm coming down there anyway, so I'll just give you the money then, because send you the check for the hosting stuff. But but I was almost like, oh, he's gonna go like Pauly Shore on, not Pauly Shore, I fucking
hey buddy, you got the fucking money, buddy.
Going Pauly from Goodfellas. I don't know why. I should have just stopped at Pauly from Goodfellas. I don't know why I jumped all the way to Shore, but yeah. No, but like, as far as being an asshole goes, I mean, I kind of had a little bit of a realization today. Like, I was out, Wes and I, because Golden Gate Park is just literally like a 10-minute walk from where I live. And we met there today. We were going to do, it's just something to do. It's just some time to hang out with him a little bit and just bullshit. We played a little bit of like golf, like Frisbee golf.
Uh-huh.
Now, I don't really care about that sport so much. It's just something to do. You know what I mean?
I got an uncle. He lives in Florida. He's a professional at that.
There are people that take it very seriously.
Like, he literally has, when he goes to places, he's got a fucking duffel bag just full of Frisbees. And
I know, it's just, I've seen that. And that's one of those things, because we go there, and I suck. He's a little better than me. But, he's got an idea down. He's been doing it a little bit longer. But it's one of those things, it's not like, I'm doing it to really keep score. I just do it just to bullshit. And we go there, and there's so many people there. There's, hey guys, what's up? And you get some guys like total kind of like Frisbee Golf elitists. They got like their duffel bag, it has all their
trophies, just hanging out of it. Like, yeah, I won those. What?
It comes like a duffel bag, like all his specialty Frisbees. Like, I don't know, it has some like the dogs. Like, I brought the dogs with me today.
They got their fucking Frisbee golf carts driving around.
No, it's all walking. But like, there'll be these guys with these huge pop bellies. The thing is, they look totally out of shape. But then you see they're wearing these spandex like shorts, and they have like the hugest, most toned, well in shape calves. But then everything else about them is just total flabby and out of shape. It's just, they got down that throw just perfect though. And I realized we were going because, we're just bullshitting. I'm talking about comics and whatever. And, and then like, as we're coming by, you can just see we're just kind of like, because we're messing up, like, oh man, I messed it up. And, I'm just making jokes because I suck so badly. I'm like, I think one of everyone's secret is they're all wearing shorts. I'm not wearing shorts. I think that's the reason why I'm doing so bad today. And then like, I just see people are just getting kind of pissed off, just me. Like, and I kind of realize I'm coming to these guys' table and kind of like taking a shit on it. Then I'm like, oh, fuck it, I don't care. It's one of those moments I just kind of had to stop and realize, I guess I'm being kind of a dick because these guys take this stuff really seriously. I'm just kind of stumbling around like, oh, I fucked up. And then like, but then just come through every so often, you just come in one of these bliss moments like, I don't really care if I'm the asshole in this situation. Fuck their sport.
Yeah, there always is that thing. When you get kind of older, you get that mentality where you go, maybe stop and just think if I was in their shoes. And it's kind of the same thing, too. It's just like, it's sort of like if somebody came over to your house and went, fucking comic books, fucking fag shit, and just like slammed them down. So it's like, you never really want to down anybody else's thing. And at least they're not just a spectator to it. Like, that's always my kind of thing. Is I always feel as long as you're doing it, you know what I mean? That's always my thing of like people that are obsessed with sports. It's just like how many of those people actually play sports. You know?
I mean, yeah. Well, it's not even so much kind of like, you like this shit, fag. It's not even like that. It's more of just like,
this is the gayest sport ever. Well, then why are you playing? I don't know, man. Just for something to do. I fucking want to talk about comics.
Yeah, hang on, this guy right here. That's all I'm really doing. And it's not even that. It's just more of just kind of like, I just find it funny of just all the things they take this so seriously. Chucking a piece of plastic through the fucking woods. I don't know. I don't understand why and like they have like this very, no man. I mean, I understand, like, look, I like comics. I understand that's not for everybody. That's for a lot of people, that's fucking stupid. That's fine. I just don't understand. And like, I'm not, look, I'm going to go do it again with Wes because whenever I do it with Wes, it's actually a fun time. I just don't understand how people get so uptight and so like, listen, man, I'm playing Frisbee golf. This is my life. This is what I come for. And I know I should be a little bit more like, I'm probably like, I'm probably maybe like bringing this guy's day down a little bit. I'm just kind of like, get the fuck over it. It's a fucking game.
Yeah, I guess because Frisbee golf, it's really the poor man's like regular golf game. Because mostly they never charge you to play on a Frisbee golf course and so on, instead of like, having to pay $20 to $100 for like an 18 rounds or something like that at like a real golf course.
Yeah.
So there is sort of that. It's just like, yeah, well, I play Frisbee golf because, fuck, they won't accept me at the other place. I don't got $400 to spend a month to have, my dues paid up and hang out the lodge with all the rich fucks. I play Frisbee golf because they accept me here for who I am. It's what I do, man. It's life. If I didn't have Frisbee golf, I might as well fucking jump out that 5-story window.
Oh
you
shit!
I was all day long.
That was one of the. That must have been one of the telephone operators or something I was playing with the whole day.
It's like, you come here, Mr. Dunigan. I'm gonna show you where I work.
No. I come back like, I understand, I see, I'm a changed man now.
I have seen the light and I saw the worst job known to mankind. It involves somebody sitting on the phone 8 hours a day of people yelling, fuck you, you stupid cunt.
I'm going to get like a visit from three of the ghosts of the dead, like, of the dead champions.
You're going to be like Jimmy Stewart. I didn't mean to.
Yeah. Well, it's gonna be like 3 ghosts from the dead champions of Frisbee golf. Like, who the fuck are you? Like, I am the ghost of Frisbee golf past. I don't give a shit, dude. I really don't care.
I'm the ghost of Frisbee future.
Dude, I really don't give a fuck. No. You should know because I'm gonna take you to a graveyard. It's gonna be your own death, dude. I really don't fucking care. If it involves Frisbee golf, I might as well just fucking die right now because that's sad.
Frisbee golf.
No, don't even take it as me just like attacking everybody who likes it. Because there are some people like, hey guys, go on ahead, not a big deal. Like, that's totally fine. It's just I can't help but find it funny. These guys are just like so fucking dead serious about throwing a fucking piece of plastic. It's what I live for. I don't get that.
I guess the way I look at it is if you're training to actually do real tournaments and make some fucking money off of it, then I understand seriousness. If you're doing it to actually achieve something, to become a professional in it, I understand the seriousness. When you're not really trying to get anywhere with it, then that makes me wonder why you're taking this so serious. Why don't you just have fun?
Who knows if they are, if they aren't? I don't know. I'm trying to have sympathy and feel bad, but I just can't in this situation. I just can't. This is, I guess, Frisbee golf is the one thing. Like, I can't look at the other side of that fence. I just don't care enough.
I had this really weird dream the other night that I was on the set and they were filming this, full-on production of like a Mega Man movie, but like a Hollywood production. You know, no, not just a fan-made video. It was like the full-on Mega Man movie. And for some reason,
before you continue, have you by chance seen the live-action Mega Man movie?
The fan-made one
made
on
by,
YouTube?
Made by the guy who made the Sonic the Hedgehog movie?
Yeah, I saw that one. That was really
What'd
cool.
you think of that? Okay.
I liked
All right,
it.
anyway, go on, continue. Yeah.
But, and like, now I don't really remember the details too well, because whenever I have a dream, I'm lucky if I can remember one or two pieces of it, because I seem to have like a dream, you know, once a week, if that even. So whenever I have one, something weird mostly happens, but I totally forget it. All I remember is that, like, Mega Man and Zero, I could see them stand there in costume and whatnot, and when they turned around, it was Tom Cruise and Chris Hemsworth. Tom Cruise was Mega Man, and Chris Hemsworth was fucking Zero. But, like, the costumes they had, I just remember, like, he just had, like, this ponytail just sticking out the back, but it almost looked like they were wearing, like, one step up above, like, a Halloween costume.
I actually want that to happen now. Like the fucking little blue blaster thing just shoots Nerf balls.
Yeah, well, it's just almost like it looked like they were just covered in just kind of, like, almost like pretty much an expensive set you would have bought as a kid if you're like, oh, here's the Mega Man dress-up kit. You know, as a kid, it would have been really fucking expensive, but, like, as far as, like, using it in a movie, it's like, I don't know if that's, like, the highest budget thing.
I see Mega Man being Asian. That's just me.
That's how I've always thought, too.
And, well, that's what I was that was kind of funny about. I thought it was kind of funny that in that, like, guy's fan-made movie, every robot was Asian.
Well,
everybody else was white.
I will say this, when I look at anything that's generally Japanese, I mostly picture, unless they really say this does not take place in Japan, I always go, it's fucking Japan. You know, and that's what's kind of bothering about, like, a lot of modern games nowadays, is it's like sort of like the new Devil May Cry. As much as I like that game, I just don't like how he's not fucking Japanese looking in the game. And I'm not saying that he's Japanese, but just that Japanese look's gone. Now, obviously, it's due to the fact that the game's actually not even made by Japan, but that happens in other things, too, and it's just like...
Well, the first level looks more like they're trying to go like Coney Island or something like that, and a lot of the other games, they looked more, to me at least, like they were taking place somewhere like in Europe, like Eastern Europe or in France maybe or something like that.
Well, I just mean character-wise, because, I just... Whenever I see that anime look, to me it just reminds me it's somebody who's Japanese. Doesn't mean that like they can't be something else, but that's what I think. So once that look kind of goes away, then I'm sitting there going like, well, what the fuck is this? Why does he look like he's from the fucking CW or something like that? Fuck the CW, except for Eric.
For a while, they were talking about. I mean, it's kind of going on and off nonstop. For a while, they were talking about the Akira movie, and they're saying they're like, we're gonna get Keanu Reeves for the Akira movie. It's like, okay, you're getting a guy who's a quarter Korean to play a 17-year-old biker. I don't really know if I'm not sure if he was just gonna play like maybe the general or someone else. They're just saying he's in the movie, but I was like, really? And they're also talking like we're also gonna get Brad Pitt for the Akira movie. It's just like, who the fuck is he gonna be? I was like, please don't tell me he's gonna be Kaneda. Yeah. I mean, it's they're gonna get Neo New York or Neo Los Angeles. But the thing kept on going up and down, up and down. And they were talking about at one point the Hughes brothers were going to direct like a 2-part movie for it, but then that dropped as well. So it's just like sometimes just make it set where it's supposed to be set, Well, it's like if you don't want it to be in English, if you don't want it to be in Japanese, okay, whatever. But at least make the ethnicity right. I can't imagine anything else called Akira suddenly like in New York,
Exactly, and it's sort of one of those ones like, I don't know why they always have to localize it. I mean, I know why, because I've heard them say it before. It's because people in fucking America are retarded, and it's like we got to make it for them, and it's just like one of those ones like, oh, that's like, sure, just say everybody's retarded. Don't fucking beat around the bush if that's what you want.
Well, this says right here about like how much. I mean, it's still kind of like a little more underground, but it says how much these two things have become a part of how big they are in the last couple of years. They did a reprint of Akira called Bart Kira, and what it is it's just basically retelling Akira on the same art style, on the same way, just with Simpsons characters. I think they equally play it just as serious. It's just Simpsons characters and Simpsons art style in place of it. I actually came across one of the books. Bart, of course, is Kaneda. I want to say Milhouse is Tetsuo. I can't tell you who they all are because I've only read like one of the books. It was like somewhere in the middle. I've because I know the books have so much more shit that happened. The movie only captures just a little bit of everything that happens.
That movie's already, for as far as an animated picture, I want to say it's like 2.5 hours long. It's really fucking long.
Yeah, that's that's really long, especially for not only just an animated movie, for a Japanese animated movie.
Well, really just because, very rarely do you ever see an animated movie that's too much longer than about an hour and a half. And it's just due to the fact they're just, it's already so much work to do this whole thing. Don't stretch it out any longer. Because just think about, I mean, how many animated flicks can you say off the top of your head that's over an hour and 45 minutes long?
I want to say Cowboy Bebop, Akira. Those are the two that come to mind. Over 2 hours, over an hour and a half.
Just over an hour and a half, because that's, you know what I mean?
Which I can think of probably a handful. I mean, I bet a lot of more of the CG movies that have come out recently are probably more hour and 45 minutes.
I'm not counting CG, though, because that's kind of like cheating.
Okay, 2D.
Yeah, because CG takes, not nearly as much work as like a 2D animated film. And I will say, even though they split it in two parts originally, but like in the long run, The Dark Knight Returns, I will count that as being one of those ones that is, 2.5 hours, because that's kind of how that movie's meant to be. And I think they just did it that way just to make it easier to sell.
Yeah.
And make more money off of it.
I think that is kind of a hard sell for a lot of people. It's like it's a 3-hour Batman movie. It's like,
Yeah, well, I saw your fucking Dark Knight Rises. I don't know if I want to
see it again in cartoon. You get that attitude a lot. But just a quick question: if you were, because you are a big time Mega Man fan, you were talking about possibility. Oh yeah, Mega Man movie. As a fan, would you want like a live action one, or would you want like a CG one that just stayed to the art style of the original like handful of games?
Well, I'll tell you this: there will never be an actual live action one. It's going to be, because it will obviously be a movie that's CG that happens to have close-ups of like live action people in it, because that's just kind of the world we live in. People kind of forget about it, but it's like, most movies you go to watch that are action movies nowadays, unless they're trying to be like regular action flicks, you're practically watching a cartoon that happens to have a couple of close-ups of actors talking. But really quickly, the Cowboy Bebop movie, it's right under 2 hours. Just thought I'd point that out.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought that was like 2. I thought that was like at 2 hours or something.
But no, like
you actually, I feel bad. We both got internet here, but you're the only one that looks shit up. I'm just like, I'm just gonna look at the fuzzy weird screen.
But a Mega Man movie, I would love to see one if they did it serious and they did it Japanese. Because obviously it's gonna be all CG pretty much except for the guy's face probably in there. It'll be like Tron. That's really what it'll be like. But
yeah,
probably go and see that. I think that's a great idea, and I really think they should bring a lot of animes into live action, but treat them with justice. Don't fuck.
They're doing Kite.
Which one?
Kite.
I don't think I've ever seen Kite.
Kite is a girl. I mean, I'm not sure. I think it's semi-futuristic. If it's not semi-futuristic, it's just kind of like a handful of like weird. Oh, that's a weird little technical thing. But basically, it's about this girl who was trained from not birth, but like since she was a little kid, to be an assassin. And this guy who was training her, basically, it's really a fucked up story. He actually, when she was younger, he also raped her. He actually killed her parents and was training her all these years. And then she meets some guy who, I don't know if the guy's an assassin or if he works for a cop or what. Basically, she meets the guy and they work together, and she actually realizes the guy she's working for is the bad guy. So she kind of goes against her and starts up a relationship with this other assassin who's a guy. And it's a pretty bloody, kind of like hard-boiled, like shoot-'em-up type of movie. They just released a trailer to a live-action one.
Yeah, I just saw the picture of it on there.
And Samuel...
he's casting early. He's got the top billing.
He's the guy who's... Because, everyone in the original is Japanese. But he is the guy who, I guess, takes her in and I'm not sure if they're going to put in the whole thing that this guy was a pedophile. I don't know if they're going to have Samuel Jackson play that part. But he looks like he's playing the guy that brought her in and trained her. And the girl is actually Japanese, so that's good. They kind of kept to that.
That's good. Yeah, and then I'm looking at that one. Was it just a movie or was it a TV show?
I want to say there was a movie, and then some years later, it was like a cult movie.
Because the movie's only
built out once. I only saw it once, and then it built up like an audience, and it got like a short, like ongoing series, like a short run of a series.
Yeah, because that movie's only 50 minutes long.
Yeah, it's not a very long movie. I want to say it's just like a big cult favorite, or it's based on a manga that a lot of people like. One or the other,
Something
one of
like
those
that.
kind of things.
But see, I think
Yeah.
that's cool. It's just as long as they just kind of like, and it's kind of like, I don't know what it is. It feels like we have to go through many years of where people like either tiptoe around the material or they kind of take it in like what they think their own direction should be before we get to the point where people go, oh, okay, the material's good enough. Let's just go with that.
Mhm.
And then there's some things that like I understand why they sort of change it. I always use Mortal Kombat as the example. It's like in Mortal Kombat 1, they had to make it, PG-13 because at that time period, half the audience was, under 18. So you had to do that. And that makes sense. You know what I mean? And like little things like that, okay, I understand why. But now we live in an age where it's like you really could just make it exactly what it is. You could almost do shot for shot and just do something live action. And I think you would just have a perfect movie. But people still always want to put their own little touch into it and whatnot, so...
I'm still. I mean, I haven't really heard because in like early 2000 or not mid 2000s, that's where we're hearing a bunch of stuff about like, oh yeah, like a bunch more anime movies are gonna be coming out really soon. But then a lot of them kind of like got canceled or got put on the back burner once Speed Racer and Dragon Ball did really bad. So now I'm kind of wondering if they're going to get picked back up again, because that's when Akira, they were talking about that. They were talking about a live-action Ghost in the Shell that Spielberg was going to at least produce. What's his name? James Cameron was going to do like a live-action adaptation of Battle Angel, which, as far as I know, is kind of a Ghost in the Shell ripoff.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. Maybe someone else might correct me and say that came first or whatever. But now I'm kind of surprised that now I'm here. I just saw an actual trailer for Kite, and I just stumbled upon it. It wasn't anything I was looking for. I just stumbled like Kite trailer. I'm like, what's this? I'm like, oh, this is that one anime. Huh.
Well, in Japan they have quite a bit of live action anime stuff. That's not uncommon there.
Not uncommon
they have 3 Death Note movies. I mean, there's a live action, even though it's not a movie, but there's a live action Sailor Moon TV show that came out in the early 2000s. Which I'm actually very curious to see what that looks like. I read about it like the other day because I was just looking up. I was like, was there a fucking Sailor Uranus? Because I can't remember. That was my question of the day. I was like, wait a second. Was there one? I remember the original ones, and I remember there was like the kind of the second series of like the Sailor Scouts, and I was like, what the fuck? Was there a Sailor Uranus? I was like, oh, there was. What do you know? And then I stumbled upon like,
and it's not a porn.
No, it's a live action TV show.
There's actually, here's a little thing I found out about through listening to like I think it was some kind of I don't really listen to very many anime podcasts because they start to talk about a bunch of shit I don't know and subgenres I don't know about, and like, oh, I just learned some stuff today. Because I'm not gonna lie, I just kind of know here's the shows I like, and I know a lot about those shows. When it comes to like the whole broad spectrum, it's kind of like, oh, what the fuck is that? Oh, okay, oh, that's what Yui means, that's what Yuri means, or whatever the fuck. But
anime, it's definitely a commitment if you're going to be watching those TV shows, because there's so many shows out there, and some of them are very long. It's sort of like manga too. Manga's like a commitment. I mean, I guess people could say fucking Batman, Superman's a commitment as well. But I'm like, you pick a couple commitments and then you kind of have to stick with that, and that's what you get.
Well, I'll say the main subject thing I was going to say, but first I want to say this. There's this one really big like manga store down in Japantown over here, and me and my friend Grant went in there one time, and I don't really. I'm just
I know what you're talking
around.
about. I've been there a couple times.
And I just ran over to this one area. I'm like, there's a lot of girls making out of it. Oh, this is the Ichi or the Ichi. Oh, okay, this is all. I'm gonna go over to the. I don't want to look like that weird guy. I'm gonna go over to this corner over here. They just ran over in this corner. It's like, oh, this is a bunch of like 12-year-old boys on adventure. Okay, this is the little boy section. I'm gonna go over here. Oh, this is the. This is the guy on guy. Oh, I realized it was all categorized. It was like, oh shit. Okay, here. All right, Hellsing, Full Metal Alchemist. Here's shit I know. Okay.
Yeah.
I was just like pinballing back. I was like, oh, I don't know what's over here, what's over there,
Yeah. You know what? If you really wanted to take an anime and then really put in a lot of money and then have a high chance of it selling well, you know what'd be the thing to do?
What's that?
Is to take a Miyazaki film and then make it live action. Now that might sound like blasphemy to some people, but like I think that would be the only way to really get an anime live action movie into the public, because at least you got sort of a backbone that people know what this is, you know? And no matter what, it's never going to take away from the source material. But I feel like that would be the one thing you could put all your fucking money. It's kind of like making your Avengers, I guess.
I'm going to say maybe Howl's Moving Castle or Princess Mononoke.
Yeah, I was thinking Princess Mononoke might be might be the easiest one to do to sell as well, too. Because it's not too Japanese.
At the same time, everybody's going to have to be Japanese given the name, so maybe Howl's Moving Castle might actually be easier.
Yeah, that's true. And it's, just make it very fantasy-like and whatnot.
And that's not me complaining, saying you have to make them Japanese. That's not me. They can't be Japanese. That's something I think they should be. It's just one of those things Hollywood producers will find a way. Like in 47 Ronin, they found a way to get a half white guy in there as the main character in a continent full of Japanese people. They found a way to get a half white guy in there.
Or even something like Kiki's Delivery Service, I think would actually be one that'd be pretty easy to turn into a live action.
Kiki's just a Hawaiian girl. She's not even Japanese.
Well, because it looks like it takes place like in Europe and France, like in that movie anyway. So
I've actually never seen Kiki's Delivery Service.
You've never seen that, man? Oh, it's such a good film.
Yeah.
That was actually the first Miyazaki movie I've ever seen.
That was?
Mm-hmm.
First one I saw, I started off on the hard shit. I started off on Princess Mononoke.
Yeah, that was the second one I ever saw.
But what was I going to say in regards to that? But one of the reasons why a lot of like live action anime stuff never comes to America is because they often star J-pop stars, and a part of their contract says that they cannot be dubbed over because that's their main selling point is their voice. Mm-hmm. So if you want to bring something to America, there's usually a dub over option on the DVD. So that's one reason why a lot of these things don't come overseas to us, because they have a clause in their contract saying you cannot dub over them if you got a J-pop star or this J-pop star.
They come over, but they're just the way you should watch them anyways with subtitles.
Well, but a lot of them won't take it because Americans won't buy it unless you can get it dubbed, which is kind of so
kind of weird because who the fuck are you selling to? The people you're selling to are pissed if you fucking dub it.
Either way, though, it's kind of dumb either way. Just give them both,
Yeah. I mean, put the dub in there, because some people like dubbing, and people are like, I don't like the reading.
I generally like my anime dubbed. I mean, live action stuff.
I like my anime dubbed. I thought you were talking about live action.
Yeah, that too. But I mean,
live action, I don't like it dubbed. That's like one of my
live action. I like live action. I like subtitled, but anime I like it dubbed.
Because some people it's like one of those ones like they're like, I like my martial arts films. I'm like, no. They have to be fucking subtitled. I don't want my martial arts thing to become a comedy instantly just because of the dubbing.
Yeah. No, there was actually I know I said it on the podcast some time ago, but I think it was on one of the episodes where we lost a bunch of audio. I actually got the Rurouni Kenshin live action movie.
Oh yeah, I remember you mentioned that.
And that is really good. That's one of those ones where they just kind of took everything that worked about the show. Because look, the show is one of those things like, I don't know how it would stand up today. I'm thinking back on it, and I don't know if it would be as good to me today as it was back when I was younger. Mm-hmm. So, but there were moments and elements I thought worked. It seemed like what it did is rather than trying to like make it everything like what the old show was, maybe it was being more based off the manga than the actual show. I don't know, but it seemed like it was just taking everything that worked and putting it into live action, and then rather than having it be aimed at PG-13s as a PG-13 audience, it actually was an R-rated movie, and it just happened. It grew up with the audience, really.
Well, and that's the way to do it. Is just don't fucking cheapen out on your audience. Just go, hey, we understand you guys are all older now, and the people that really are going to buy into it, they've taken this, and let's just advance to the next level. It's kind of like the Batman philosophy. It's like, whenever somebody thinks that Batman's kiddie and whatnot, it's like, no, he's growing up with all of us. And he's pretty much comic book wise in the rated R world.
Yeah, very much so. And that's definitely what this felt like. This felt like it kind of grew up. It still has everything you want to know is there. Some of the stuff felt a little forced. Like Sanosuke, his story felt forced in there. But then again, we'd probably be pissed off if Sanosuke wasn't in it. So it's kind of like, at least they got him in there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And Yahiko, who is one of those characters who is always there in the show and kind of went on adventures, he wasn't as much part of the action in this. But then again, he's a kid, and we don't really need the kid. I mean, this day and age, I don't need the kid to relate to. Oh, cool, the kid's there. He helped them in this one part, let's focus on the adults, you know?
Well, it's like I was watching the Dead or Alive movie again the other day, and like I am pretty impressed with the fact that no matter what they have, all the characters from, because they must have been on Dead or Alive 3. I don't think they're even on Dead or Alive 4, or it might have been going right into Dead or Alive 4, but they got all the characters from at least 3 and back pretty much in that movie. And though some characters are really only in it for, under 5 minutes or sometimes all of like maybe 20 seconds, at least they're in there. Because it's not like they probably kind of know it's like we're not probably going to get a sequel to this, but at least we can show them. Even if they have like, a 20-second fight scene, at least it's there in that film.
Mhm.
And I think that's kind of good. I'd rather have that knowing that it's pretty much going to be a one-shot film until they ever decide to make another one than to have where like they only pick 5 characters and that's all they focus on.
We saw that philosophy with Street Fighter Legend of Chun-Li.
Yep,
Did
I
not
do
work.
not like that philosophy. In perfect example, let's go to Street Fighter 2, the animated movie. That's another example. It's like they get every character from Street Fighter 2 in there. Even if they only maybe have a couple minutes scene, at least they're in there.
Well, at least they all at least have a fight scene, too.
Yeah, exactly. Because one thing, it's like, yeah, we're mainly here to see Ryu, Ken, and M. Bison. That's the main characters. Then Chun-Li and Guile or something like that.
Mhm.
But as long as, you can throw in some Dhalsim and throw in some E. Honda and pretty much anybody else, give them at least a scene.
Yeah.
So I think that's a key thing to have. And that goes with like anything when they do an adaptation. I'm always just like, and some people like the like one good character, one bad guy. We'll save it for the next movie to introduce another one. It's like, no. Put as many characters as you possibly can. But not to an extent, I guess, where like some characters get like really slapped in the face. But
Well,
I guess if it's a one-shot movie, put them all in. If you know you're going to have sequels, that's fine. But don't just do the one good guy, one bad guy thing.
Well, I think sometimes it can backfire on you when you try and jam too many characters in there. An example, even though I like the more recent ones, some of the X-Men movies. Like, for instance, and I'm guessing I'm primarily thinking X-Men 3 and X-Men Wolverines to some extent. Because X-Men 3, because you have, like, all these characters that are there just for a second, just so you can kind of point out and say, look, there's that character. Some of them are just there for a minute, but others die off. Like in X-Men 1, it didn't piss me off. Like, okay, look, you got kind of like, here's Iceman has a Pyro. Iceman has a cameo. He'll be a bigger part in the next one. Same with Pyro. That's kind of cool. But when you get to 3, though, Psylocke is there just for the sake of being there. Then she dies in that big explosion.
Yeah, and that's it.
And then there's also like, you had Human Cannonball just kind of jumped in there for a second. You had Spike, who was never really a big character as far as I know. But just all these characters that are there just for a minute just to die. And then you also had the biggest one, even though I think this is one of the best X-Men movies, in First Class. It also sucks because they've also fell victim to like one of the biggest like movie stereotypes possible. Black dude dies first for no real reason. When Darwin comes in, who, as far as I know, from people who do like Marvel a lot, Darwin's actually a pretty big character. Darwin comes in, barely has a chance to do anything. We get to know him long enough just to, okay, we like him. Well, we're at least going to throw all these characters in here just so we can have them in there. And I understand that to an extent, but I think sometimes it just kind of backfires because, oh, look, there's that person for a second, but then we don't really get what that person's about. For instance, like the X-Men movies. I mean, usually I think they use them for good for the most part, but like X-Men, I want to say,
3.
Like, even those, 3, they have so many characters in there, they just kind of die for no reason. They're just there, so you can point out and say, look, there's that character, then they die. Or like, even though this is one of the better ones, First Class, Darwin, it's kind of like, they kind of they fall prey to, like, 2, like, stereotypes. That stereotype I just mentioned, and B, we're just going to kill the black guy first for no real reason. Because there's that part where, like, Darwin, we get to know him long enough to like, oh, we like him. This guy's cool. But then, like, as soon as Kevin Bacon gets there, he kills him, and he kills him before he even has a chance to put on, like, a suit. So it's one of those things just like, all right, what was the point of even having the character there if that's all he's there for? Even though that's one of the better X-Men movies, that part kind of pissed me off a little bit.
Yeah,
so,
I know there always is that sort of thing where somebody's got to die first before you can keep kind of going on. It's sort of like you could say with the last Batman movie that came out. It's like KGB Beast, he dies right off in the beginning. you know.
But I don't know if KGB has that big of a fan base too. I know Darwin's become a pretty big character over the
Yeah,
years.
but I'm gonna say he's probably in the same category as that Darwin character. You know, it's not like you killed fucking Wolverine off in the first like 10 minutes. Not like you killed off, fucking Dick Grayson the first 10 minutes.
Mhm.
You know, you still are killing off like a C or D list character. Let's just say that.
I want to say, yeah, I see what you're saying, but still, at least it's kind of one of those things. Like I want to say that like he has gotten bigger recently, but on top of that, though, I mean, I think KGB is one of those things. A, we don't have as much sympathy for him because he's kind of a lesser known villain, and on top of that, he's the bad guy. We're watching kind of this Dirty Dozen, a lot of people are going to die kind of movie.
Mm-hmm.
That one, it's more supposed to be, oh, it's about the team. This is a superhero team, and that's cool. But then it's just like, oh, well, he just died for no real reason, really. And I understand you need to have some kind of loss or sympathy for someone, but maybe it could have just been, I don't know, it could have been like maybe not one of the mutants, but maybe a human member. They just forced in some human member like on the team, just like, oh, I'm here to supervise, and just have them get killed off or something, which they kind of had someone like that. But, I mean, it's also like in, there's another example I was going to make with that. Like in, fuck, what was it? I know. Even though I don't like this movie, I know you kind of like it. The second Mortal Kombat. There was a bunch of characters in that one. They had every character up to the Mortal Kombat up to that point in there. Mm-hmm. And we have the four-armed chick, the chick who's like Shiva. Is that her name?
Yeah.
Shiva? She comes in. We think we're going to get a big badass fight, but then all of a sudden she gets killed by a giant cage. A cage just crashes down. All right, let's go. I'm just running right by her. So
yeah,
it's
I still go with that movie because like I'm one of those people. I'm a big defender of that movie. I think most people like the reason they don't like it because like, oh, the special effects are cheesy. I'm like, yeah, well, fuck, they don't have a big enough budget for what that movie is. I give it a lot of credit because it really fits in a ton of characters that like probably would never get it like in a Mortal Kombat movie in the first place. So even if they only have like a very short action scene, I kind of like that more. If we knew that Mortal Kombat movie series was going to go on for, 5+ movies, then sure, you can savor some characters for later. But if you're only going to have, a 1 or 2 shot, might as well get some in there. Now I know at the beginning of that one they do kind of kill off Johnny Cage right at the very beginning.
That's what I mean. Like, if you're gonna like sacrifice kind of like fan favorite characters and just not really give them respect, I don't really see the point of throwing them in there in the first place. It's kind of like going back to this one, like Wolverine, like that's not really Deadpool. They didn't really understand Deadpool so much. I can respect and appreciate that movie.
Well, they're kind of going for like
aspects.
An old-fashioned Deadpool thing. I think because everybody was expecting new Deadpool, and they did like old Deadpool, where like before he was kind of the funny guy.
Well, they had a little bit of that with Ryan Reynolds at the beginning. But I want to say just the whole fact, like, that you have Deadpool and you slap his mouth shut. I think before he was the funny guy, he was still a shit-talking asshole.
I think that still came later on, too, though. I think that was the thing, is everybody was still thinking modern Deadpool, and they were picking from, like, day one Deadpool. So
they definitely had plans. They still have plans for a Deadpool sequel, because if you go to the post-credits, they have like a shot of his head like still alive in the debris and all that. So.
Yeah. But even like, I will say this, like it's kind of with Mortal Kombat Annihilation. The sort of the whole point of killing off Johnny Cage. I see the reason behind it. It wasn't like they just did it for no reason at all. It was supposed to make it seem like, well, yeah, it was that too. But like, it was like, I guess just to make it tragic. So like, it's like, okay, we really got to get back into this mission here. We don't want more guys dying, even though more people do die, but.
Yeah, I know, but it just kind of sucks when you open up on a movie and like, oh, that character that was such a badass throughout the last one, as soon as they were done with that great, challenge, he's dead. Don't matter.
I guess, but there's also one of those things too, I will say, there's only so much time in a movie for so many people.
Yeah, I know. I don't know. I guess of all the characters in the first one, Johnny Cage was my favorite. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not a huge Mortal Kombat fan. I don't know a whole lot about it, but he was my favorite character in that first movie. So when he just died off in the second one, I was like, oh, me and this movie ain't gonna get along.
Yeah, it's like, don't get me wrong, I love Johnny Cage a lot too, but I think it's one of those ones, no matter who you killed off, if you killed off Sonya, people would have been pissed. If you killed off, Liu Kang, people would have been pissed, which that'd be kind of weird because that's kind of the main character.
They didn't have to kill off anybody. They could have
Scorpion, well, yeah, you probably could have killed off.
They did. Oh, they didn't have to kill off anybody. They could have just said, hey, here's a challenge. fuck y'all, and then maybe he could have died off later in the movie, just not like right after the very beginning.
Yeah, and I think it's one of those ones. I think some people have a problem with killing off, and other people don't as much. I think that's just like one of those ones. No matter what, it's gonna be hard to like please everyone with that kind of decision.
I'm in the opinion of like you can kill him off, just let it be meaning. If it's an important character, just let it. If it's a big character, you can kill him off, just let it be in a big way, or at least in an important way. Don't treat it like it's not a big deal. Like, oh yeah, fuck this character, boom, dead, moving on. I think that actually, I mean, if it's the first movie and it's kind of like if it's kind of like a big like group of people that we get to know as the movie goes on, we don't know who's going to live, who's going to die. Mm-hmm. I understand that, but it's when I guess you already got this established group of characters that we're already supposed to know, and you're just going to kill like one or two of them off very early on, like it's not a big deal. That's where it's kind of like, oh, come on, you could have used that guy a little better than that.
Yeah.
Or at least kill them off later down the line. That's just my opinion on it, though.
Yeah, it's one of those ones, like, and I know it's kind of like, people always kind of complain with, like, X-Men Origins. It's like, you have Gambit, and he's really only in it for a little bit. I'm like, well, at least he was in it. That's how I look at it. It's like...
That's one of the things I can give that movie credit, because it was one of those things where he would go, he'd meet somebody, he'd have a scene with that person, and they'd move on. I can give the movie credit for that. It's just when you kind of kill people with no real reason. Like, oh, yeah, I was kind of like, all right, yeah, well, at least Gambit was there for a minute. That was kind of cool. At least Blob kind of had an actual fight scene. That was kind of cool. You know what I mean?
So. And I mean, like, I think that's, because I guess everybody's like, they expect, if Gambit's in the movie, he should be in it for 90% of the movie. And it's like, well, someday I just assume there'll be a Gambit movie or something like that, or at least one that features him as the main character, or at least one of the main.
They said that, actually. Did you hear who might be playing Gambit?
No, is that like a recent thing? I mean, I heard that a while ago, but then like you hear those rumors all the time, and they don't really mean much.
I'm going to give you 3 guesses of a bigger star. He's kind of young. He's hip with the kids, but he's kind of a bigger star recently. 3 names. Gotcha. Going to give you 3 chances here.
Is it Liam Hemsworth?
No, but you're in the right ballpark.
Is it...
Don't go on IMDb.
I'm not going on IMDb. I'm actually thinking.
I just heard a mouse click, so I'm just... Yeah.
Is it Chris Hemsworth?
No, but you are in the right ballpark as far as what these dudes look like. Let me put it this way. He has already been in or at least as far as I know, at least 2 adaptation properties.
He's a younger guy?
Yeah, he's older than us, but a younger guy.
Did he play any main character, or was he a side character in those movies?
Both.
I'm not too sure if I know what the actor's name is.
Oh, you'll know him, and it's going to be like, oh, fuck, him? Really?
Is he in a Marvel or a DC picture?
Oh, it's neither Marvel or DC, but there is 2 large... One of them is kind of like, they were hoping it was going to be large, but it ended up being kind of like, oh, it was medium ranked. It was like probably bigger-ish, but not really huge. The other one was actually kind of a sleeper hit. It actually kind of it kind of came out. People thought it would suck, but I was like, oh wow, that was actually really successful.
And are they U.S. films or foreign films?
They're U.S. films. And what I should say, these are not 2 individual movies. These are 2 individual franchises. And
they're not DC or Marvel?
Not DC or Marvel. But one of them is actually in the vein of like sci-fi, adventure, superhero stuff.
Somebody from Scott Pilgrim?
Nope.
Is it somebody from... I'm trying to think what other comic book movies have come out that are not DC and Marvel in the last while.
I wouldn't even say it's... Well, there's comics of it, but I wouldn't say it's a comic first and foremost.
Oh, I thought you said it was a comic, so I was thinking that and that only. So it's not a comic, it's not a manga?
No, I mean, there are comics of it, but it's not a comic book first and foremost, though.
It beats me what the hell came out recently.
Channing Tatum.
Oh, Channing Tatum?
Yeah.
Which things were the comics things I was supposed to guess?
G.I. Joe.
Oh, G.I. Joe. And what was the other one?
And the other was 21 Jump Street.
Oh, okay, well, I didn't see that one, so that wouldn't have helped.
Well, that was one that came out that was like that people thought it was gonna suck, and it ended up being like really successful, like both of them. So
Huh. So I'd like to see. Yeah, I think he could do it. I think he'd be fine enough in Gambit. As long as you give him like at least long hair,
long
that's
hair.
the key thing.
Give him long hair. Let him do a Cajun accent.
Because as long as he can pull off the accent and he's got long hair, I'm down. Because I think he sold himself as being a likable actor.
Mm-hmm. At first, I was one of those guys. I had such troubles with that guy, and I actually liked that guy, and I felt bad because I was like, "Fuck Channing Tatum." And then like when GI Joe 2 came out, by that point, I liked Channing Tatum,
man?
and then.
It's like,
Yeah, it was like he died at the beginning, but I just started to like Channing Tatum, you know. So
no, really, he's one of those kind of guys. I feel like he's gonna have the Brad Pitt thing, or it happens like, or a Tom Cruise, where like at first, like people are always like, oh, fucking like wishes he was like, he's just an actor for women and whatnot. Fuck him. And then over time, like men seem to really end up enjoying him, and then like he'll probably get the flip at some point where women start to hate him.
that's a possibility. I mean, Tom Cruise is at a weird point where kind of like he had the flip, but then he had like this weird middle ground where, well, it's not like all the guys like him, but at least like, oh, well, you like a lot of people, like a lot of film people like him. I noticed. I know for a while it was one of those things where a lot of women hated him. A lot of women loved him, but then guys hated him. The guys started to like him, but then he acted all weird and crazy, and a lot of people didn't like him anymore. But a lot of film people like him just for the movies he's been in recently.
Yeah, because I know, Tom Cruise was one. It seems like for some reason,
Or a lot of
women seem ever since the Oprah incident, women seem to not like him. And then he isn't like maybe the grandest for like men. Seems like men's like 75% of them like him, and the other 25% they always say like, it's not like I don't like his movies. I'm just not the biggest fan of him.
Mm-hmm.
Or it's kind of like Brad Pitt. Brad Pitt's in that same ballpark. For some reason, women seem to not like Brad Pitt very often, but men just love the fuck out of him. They're like, if I was gay, it'd be with Brad Pitt. You know that, right? Nothing gay about that.
But no, exactly. The second
Oh, now it's messing up again.
Stage step by open. All right. Well, let me call you on my cell phone.
Okay, no, it's working.
Hang
It's
up and let me
seems
call
to
you on
be
my cell
fine
phone.
now.
Okay.
I don't know what the hell.
Mine's yellow again. I don't know what that means.
Mine's, yeah.
But no. But yeah. The whole thing with Oprah though, that was actually one of those things I heard somewhere that actually was more staged. Like he actually had several takes at that, and him jumping up and down to that level, that was more of like something that I guess I don't know if it's true, but I heard somewhere like that led on that she planned it out, and he really wasn't that crazy about it. That it was something she planned out and just made him look like a total asshole, basically.
Huh. Well, that seems like one of those ones. It probably goes in the conspiracy book of all kinds of things of like how that was planned out and what the effect was on like the United States and what have you.
Yeah, I have no idea where. I want to say I heard that somewhere on Cracked podcast. I don't know how they got to that or why they're using that one so much, but yeah, it was something like because like that show they have several takes of I guess the way that works. I don't really know. Never been a member of Oprah. Never been on the audience, so I don't know. But I heard they have several takes of the interviews and all that. So
Or they just like edit them together or something like that.
that's what I heard. I don't know if that's true though.
Oh, that's weird.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I feel like Channing Tatum though he will become like that actor that like men will like really like over time, and I think he'll switch where like the women probably at some point won't like him anymore. I don't know why that always is. That seems to happen to a lot of actors.
He just has to avoid jumping on couches and.
It's sort of like Mel Gibson too. It's like that's another one. Like women seem to like not like Mel Gibson anymore, but like men are like, fuck it, I don't care. It's Mel Gibson. He was in Lethal Weapon and Mad Max. What are you gonna do?
Yep, a lot of people do have that turnaround on Mel Gibson. A lot of people have not come back from Mel Gibson, and for me, it's one of those things. I said it last week. I want to say I heard something like he even has like Jewish friends. I think he was just talking out of his ass one day, and he just got caught at the wrong moment. I want to say he had like people, but then again though, I mean, I don't really defend anything he was saying.
And really, it's one of those ones. This is what I always say. It's like, fuck it, I don't care. It's like Mel Gibson's a fantastic actor. I don't care what the hell he thinks. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If he wants, isn't the whole point of being a human is to kind of have your freedom as long as it doesn't infringe on anybody else? And I think that's the bottom line, and that's what Mel Gibson. If Mel Gibson wants to say that, well, fuck. It's not like he's going out fucking hunting people down or something like that. There's a difference between that or saying something. Saying something, we should all be able to say whatever the hell.
And that's where this podcast ends at. No exit, just this thing. So till next time, check out oldmanorange.com and and come on back. Thanks for listening to the Old Man Orange podcast. Check out our website at oldmanorange.com for even more podcasts, cartoons, videos, music, and more. Send us an email at oldmanorangepodcast@yahoo.com. Be sure to subscribe, share, rate, and review us on iTunes, Podomatic, or any of the other fine sites we might be located on. And if you want to help out even more, click on the Amazon or GameStop links on our webpage before you make any purchases there. It won't cost you a penny, but it sends us a little something our way. Thanks again, and tune in next week for more Old Man Orange Podcast.